Everything is good. Mr. Dolan, the meeting is yours.
Okay, I would like to call to order the last regular meeting of 2020, December 7th, of the Lyon Township Board of Trustees. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance
to the
to the flag of the United States of America
and
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to the roll call. Kelly, could you please call roll?
Yes, Lisa Blaze,
Present in Lyon Township.
Patricia Carconi,
Here in Lyon Township.
Michelle Cash,
here in Lyon Township.
John Dolan,
Here in Lyon Township.
Christopher Enlow,
Here in beautiful Lyon Township.
Sean O'Neill,
I'm here in Lyon Township.
and Robert Swain.
Also here in Lyon Township.
Perfect, thank you. Let's move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Does anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted. Michelle Cash.
Support Patricia Carconi.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. Let's move on to the approval of the agenda. I do have two additions. If we could please add them, they will be O and P of new business. The first one is the amendment to the Township Board Rules of Procedure for Temporary Open Meetings Act. And the second one would be the Resolution 2020-25, extending the temporary outdoor sales event authorization. And that would be my adds. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add or delete or be comfortable with the agenda? With that in mind, a motion would be in order.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended. O'Neill?
I'll support Michelle Cash.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. You want to call this one by roll, please? Kelly, could you call this by roll?
Patricia Carconi,
Yes.
Michelle Cash,
Yes.
Lisa Blaze,
Yes.
John Dolan,
Yes.
Christopher Enlow,
Yes.
Sean O'Neill,
Yes.
Robert Swain.
Yes.
I thought I heard an opposed there. I guess I didn't. Okay, good. It's unanimous.
I thought I heard the same thing, so
Yeah, I thought I did. I should have probably just asked if anyone was opposed. I'll do that on the next one. Okay, we're going to move on to announcements and communications. Anyone have any announcements? Any communications? No one? Okay, seeing none. Let's move on to the call to the public. This is where anyone from the public can let us know anything that's non-agenda related, and please keep it to a short period of possibly 3 minutes.
If any members of the public would like to address the board, press *9 on your phone to raise your hand. Press *9 to raise your hand. We'll give it a moment here. Again, press *9 on your phone. No one has raised their hand.
Okay, then we're going to go ahead and close the call to the public and move on to reports. First report is the DDA. Tina? You're muted, Tina.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
There you go.
Yep. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Hello?
yes.
You're
Yes,
frozen.
we can hear you.
She's froze solid.
Okay,
She's
he's
in the ice
frozen.
ball.
All right. Yeah, sorry.
Are you out there? Maybe we'll come back to Tina. Tina, we'll come back to you at the end here. Let's move on to the fire. Ken, is there anything in the fire department?
Well, can you hear me? Because I can't get my video to work. I don't know if that can be corrected like quickly, but I had one announcement.
I can hear you. So
You can?
we
Yeah,
can.
we can.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, this was where visual actually works best. So you'll just have to imagine what's going on here. But I had told Deputy Chief Reg Madeline that I was going to be late for this meeting, like as if I had something else to do. And the reason was we did not host our Christmas party this year, but we still have a firefighter of the year. And he doesn't know that, but it is Deputy Chief Reg Madeline, who has just served our community for so long and just done a terrific job. He has stepped up in so many ways. And I have a really nice plaque that I'll show you sometime, hopefully tonight. But anyway, I just wanted to congratulate Reg for just everything that he does for this township and for this fire department. And this is very well deserved. So congratulations, Reg, and there's really nothing else for you to do tonight unless.
He got all dressed up.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
It's awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Congrats.
Fireman of the year. Keep it up.
Yep.
Good stuff.
And that concludes my report. And Reg, I'll get you the plaque soon. I really
Thank you,
do
sir.
have it.
It would be nice to see that plaque.
Oh, yeah, it'll eventually.
All right. Thank you for that, Chief.
Thanks.
Moving on to the sheriff. Sheriff, anything?
Yes, just real briefly. Good evening, everyone. We've changed the way we're going to do Shop with a Cop this year. Just to let everybody know, we're going to be hosting the event at our trailer in the parking lot. So I'm going to go get the gift cards from Walmart. We're going to assign everyone a scheduled time slot, and when they come to the substation, we'll be out there to greet them, give them a little bit of FaceTime, and hand the cards to them. So if you're around, you can watch us from a distance with your mask on. Wednesday the 16th from I believe it's 9 a.m. until 6:30 at night. So yeah, but that
Very cool.
that's it. Yeah.
Now, why would we do it? Why would we do it like that and not shop? Just because we couldn't do it with distancing or anything like that?
Yeah, the proximity with the COVID and
Yeah.
children and being all in Walmart, it's not really conducive to this environment. And I spoke with Doreen and Sue, and we tried to come up with some creative ways to get it done. And this seems like the best way that we can actually do it and still be safe. Last year, we did about 72 families, and this year she said it's already up to 123.
Wow.
So,
Oh, my goodness.
yeah, we'll still have the volunteers, and we'll make the best of it. And it kind of takes away from it, giving them a gift card in the car, but I guess this is all we have. We're going to keep the families in the car. We'll stay outside with our PPE on, and just manage as best we can.
Yeah, that's still great. It's a
Wow.
great thing.
Yeah, it is. It's good, but
I'm sure
that's
it'll
all I
turn
have.
out- I'm sure that'll turn out wonderful, Les. Thank you for that.
Oh,
Lieutenant.
worries.
Thanks. All right, we'll move on to the Planning Commission. Patty, anything from there?
Yep, we had 2 meetings in November. The first one was Monday, November 9th. On our agenda was under old business, it was the Comfort Care Senior Housing and Assisted Living Site Plan. We denied the special land use to the board, but we tabled the site plan depending on what's going to happen with the, with the township board. We had the event barns, so we scheduled a public hearing for that. And under new business, we had Lyon Crossings, ZOT final review that was approved. And they're on our agenda tonight. And they also are going to be asking if the board would consider having a special board meeting. So at some time in December. So we'll bring that up when that agenda item comes, if the board would be accommodating to them. We also had the Oak site plan that was tabled for additional work on the site plan. And we had the Woodside overlay district, and that was scheduled a public hearing for that. Then our next meeting was Monday, November 23rd. We had several public hearings. We had the Culver Restaurant special land use, which was approved, and it was approved with some conditions, with adding a brick wall and some lighting and making sure they got the easement. The board was very excited about this, and they are asking it to be, to go to the township board. And they also approved the site plan with approval with the special land use from the board. We had also the residential district lot width and setback amendments. And we also had the zoning ordinance and amendments all under public hearings. So that will conclude my report. If there's any questions.
Seems like you guys are busy.
Yeah, it was busy. It was a busy month. But remember, we had no agenda items in October because of the COVID. So it was difficult. We had a lot to make up. So it was good.
Okay.
Oh, and we welcomed a new planning commission member too, and that was Bronco. And he did well for his first meeting.
Nice. Okay, we're going to move on to the ZBA. Lisa, anything in the ZBA?
We had a public hearing that had two parts. One was to allow 2 wall signs. It was determined that a variance was not necessary to even request. And this was for the property on 10 Mile Road, Everbrook Academy. So item 1A was removed as a request, and the second variance request was denied. And December 21st meeting is canceled.
Okay. Thank you, Lise. Robert, anything on the Park Advisory Board going on?
We are still trying to, we're kind of still working through some issues with getting our survey results data exported, but busy night tonight. So okay, that's pushed off, I guess. Only other thing is we're hoping to get an approval back from the landfill management company to set up a little area for sledding over the winter.
Oh, nice. Okay, great. Okay, now I did ask Ed to join us tonight, and he was going to, but I think he got tied up. We're going to add the water report to the end of our reports to go to general meetings from now on. But I can kind of give you that we did get some good news. The DEQ has done answering. We're all finished with all the questions that they've asked us, and they approved the design to go forward for the water softening. And also the big 2 million gallon tanks were approved. So they're going to start. We had a pre-con on them today. So that's all moving forward. And that was the best news we had, getting the softening at least move forward to design. So I think we're getting there. We're finally getting there. If anyone has any questions about the water system, it's been running and working, and it's really been top of the line. But I can try to answer that. I know Ed was supposed to be here. I wish he was here tonight, but evidently couldn't make it. Any questions on it at all that I could help you with? Okay, then I almost forgot Tina. Okay, we're going to get back to Tina for the DDA. Tina, are you there with us?
I am. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm sharing bandwidth with a high school and a college student this evening. So guess what? One of them got to get kicked off. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a couple updates. First of all, we are working on a Light Up Lyon project that's underway, and it's the DDA is encouraging our business owners to decorate their place of business with holiday lights and decorations, just to enhance the overall holiday season in our downtown. And many have received actually some donated items even from employees and friends, and they're working to get their buildings looking really attractive for the holiday season. And with that, the DDA has also completed its Holiday Wonderland display in cooperation with the New Hudson United Methodist Church in the heart of our downtown. This is part of our Show Your Love for Lyon campaign that encourages citizens and visitors to shop local, dine local, and support local. And what we've created there is a self-guided walkthrough display that features lights and holiday inflatables, character cutouts, and even some large-sized lollipops. The whole point was to create a really attractive feature just for families and friends to come with the kids and have a nice holiday walkthrough. And it starts daily at 4 p.m. For those interested in walking through during the daytime hours, because the inflatables can be seen both day and night. And then it also is lit up then through the evening until 10 p.m. So we'll be doing this through New Year's. Also, the display is designed to attract hundreds of people to the downtown, but not at all one time for a single event. So we're practicing social distancing as folks can come and go as they please over a month versus everyone crowding together all at one time. So we just encourage folks when they come into downtown to make sure that they visit our restaurants and retailers. Also, we have a number of selfie stations around the downtown area where folks can cozy up to a holiday character and get their pictures taken. And then on Saturday, December 12th, from 1 to 4 p.m., Wholehearted Winery is going to be hosting photos with Santa in a unique setting that includes an inflatable snow globe. So you want to visit their Facebook page or go to winethatgives.com to learn more about that special event. Also, just in case you haven't heard the big news today, the governor and the Michigan Department of Health did extend the restrictions on primarily our restaurants for another 12 days. So that'll take us through December 20th. So in response to that initial pause and now the extension, the commissioners, Oakland County commissioners, are meeting tonight, and they are going to be considering a $10 million project. It's a restaurant rescue project where they're setting aside $10 million, some of that coming from the CARES Act. Majority of that funding is going to go to approximately 1,000 businesses, about 7 million of that. These are businesses that had applied for stabilization grants and also winterization grants. So they're the first ones who will receive this benefit. That allotment does come from the CARES Act and it has to be spent by December 30th. So they're looking to turn that money around very quickly. I'll be coordinating with the county on any questions that they might have with our businesses in that regards. And then they're also setting aside $2 million, which is earmarked for outdoor dining setups, and another $1 million to help the businesses when they reopen. So there's a lot of activity taking place right now to try to alleviate some of these stresses and issues that are affecting our restaurants, in particular, covering their operating costs. And then lastly, I just want to remind everyone that we have a DDA board meeting tomorrow night at 7 p.m., December 8th. And that would conclude my report.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Tina. Any questions for Tina? All right.
Tina,
Go ahead.
I was just wondering, did you get that one email I sent you with an idea?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yep.
Okay, I was just curious because I didn't hear back from you. I guess.
Yeah, no.
Well,
we're getting a lot of people, including yourself, Carol, coming forward with some really creative ideas, like a scavenger hunt that the library wants to pursue. So yeah, I'm getting back to folks and making sure that we're engaging those who have some really great ideas so that we can incorporate them this year, or at least build off of it in the if it's not holiday related, we can continue in January and February.
Okay. Well, that'll conclude our reports for tonight, and we're going to move on to a public hearing. We have a public hearing tonight for the budget. It's for residents to come in and comment about the 2021 budget. For anyone that's wanting to comment, we're going to open the public meeting at 7:19. So we're going to go ahead and open that up. Rob, will you watch for anyone out there?
Yeah. If anybody would like to address the board about the budget, press *9 on your phone to raise your hand. Press *9 to raise your hand, and then *6 will unmute yourself. Let's see if anybody has their hand raised. Nobody yet. We'll give it another moment.
Okay.
No one has raised their hand.
All right, then we're going to go ahead and close the public meeting at 7:20. And we're going to move on to unfinished business, which there is none. So we're going to move right on into new business. and A of our new business, Lyon Station Plan Development, Extension of Preliminary Approval. Brian, do you want to kick that off for us?
I will. Thank you, John. Up for consideration this evening is an extension to a PD Lyon Station that the Township Board has approved through the preliminary stage of review. This is a 37-unit single-family home development on the east side of Griswold Road. So this is just north of Estates at Hutsfield and south of the new water tower that the township has. So the ordinance permits a 12-month extension where there are circumstances that that would warrant it. In this instance, there have been, and I know Mr. Hutto here is on behalf of the applicant, they can describe some of the rationale for the need for extension. One of the things that we consider from a planning standpoint is whether or not adjacent developments were already approved or considered when this project was before the board in 2018. All of the surrounding residential developments were included in the traffic studies and the materials that were prepared for this development. So we don't see anything outstanding in terms of the project itself. We think an extension is likely warranted, and the Planning Commission recommended approval of this extension as well. The only thing from a staff standpoint that we would ask of the board to consider is it would be very helpful for you to set a particular date in which this would expire so that we have that information. As we'll talk about in some of the ordinance amendments later on, the extension dates in the ordinance are a bit nebulous today. So if you could set a specific date of expiration, that would be helpful to staff. Other than that, I can take any questions, or the applicant is here.
Okay. Leslie, you don't have anything to add. This is just an extension. You're good on this one.
No issues.
Okay. Well, does anyone want to talk to the applicant about this? He is here. If they'd like to ask him any questions, or if you think it could do this extension.
John, I don't have any questions for the applicant, but for Brian, it was September 4th of 2018 was the date that we gave preliminary approval to this request, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
It would make sense to give a one-year extension from that date. So the new date would be 9/4 of 21. Is that what's being requested?
I think you are permitted to go up to 12 months. So if you think that that's a more reasonable date and it's not going to impact Mr. Hutto, I think it's fair.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to make sure that that was I mean, if we're using dates, we have an approval date, so it seemed to make sense to, and this is only an extension of the preliminary. Once he begins through the final process, then this expiration date really goes away as he proceeds through final, correct?
Yeah, correct. If we get him in front of the Planning Commission for a final review in advance of whatever date you set, we'd be happy.
Okay. I'll make a motion in the case of AP 20-35 to grant a one-year extension with the new expiration date being September 4th, 2021.
I'll support.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good extension. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Have a great-
Thanks.
go ahead and move on to the Comfort Care Senior Housing and Assisted Living Special Land Use. Brian, you want to kick that off?
Yes, thank you, John. Another item for consideration this evening is an assisted living senior housing facility on the south side of 10 Mile Road, just east of Milford Road. This is 57 units as it's proposed today on a just under 9-acre parcel. The assisted living or senior facilities are permitted by special land use in the R10 district. The Planning Commission held their public hearing earlier this year in August, and at that time tabled their final consideration for some additional details. And the applicants went back and made modifications to the plan based on that direction. And we're back in front of the Planning Commission in November. The outcome of the meeting in November was a recommendation from the Planning Commission to deny the special land use for this use. And as Patty mentioned, they tabled the site plan until some clarification comes from the Township Board on the use itself. In terms of this use, we have, I won't go through each of the standards for special land use review, but I do think probably the most discussed item as part of the Planning Commission's review was the compatibility with adjacent uses. There were some concerns that this is a use that is potentially more commercial in nature. The surrounding properties to the west, directly to the east and directly to the south are single family homes. Directly across the street to the north is Dandy Acres, and across 10 miles to the northwest will be, or it is the consent judgment property. So that will be commercial in nature. So we would like you to discuss a bit whether or not you believe this is the type of use that can be found to be compatible with adjacent properties. But the use itself is generally supportive of the master plan and the zoning ordinance in terms of this is a unique residential use, and we're trying to provide a bit more of a broad perspective on the housing that we're providing to our aging populations. And so that is something that we find that this project would support. But in summary, we find that it's a low impact, quiet, and unobtrusive use in general. But again, we do note that the Planning Commission had some significant concerns about how the use presents itself for compatibility with the adjacent single family uses. If there are any questions, I can take them, but that's a broad overview. The applicants are in the chat I see this evening, so they're available for any questions or presentation if you want it.
Okay. Let's go ahead. First of all, is there any questions for Brian at this moment? Okay, if there isn't, Leslie, you have a letter here also.
Yes, my letter is dated December 3rd. It just references the utilities that would serve the property. They're proposing to connect to the existing 2-inch force main that is available to the property. Also, they're proposing to connect and extend the public water main onto their site to service the property. The project proposes an on-site detention basin with an outlet pipe along 10 Mile Road to Yerkes Drain. The current plans would require modification to comply with the engineering standards, as we've documented in our correspondence to the Planning Commission. And if the Township Board approves the special land use, the applicant will be required to submit a detailed engineering review. And that concludes our report on the utilities, water, sewer, and storm.
Does anyone have any questions for Leslie? All right, I guess the applicants are here. Would someone like to start the conversation? Sean, you want to start with it?
Yeah, I'll be quick. You know, certainly our community is growing and also aging, and so this kind of use is not something that would be problematic. But I would agree with the Planning Commission's findings that it's not compatible with the adjacent uses, which is condition number 1 of 9, and that's all I'll add at this point.
Okay. Lise, you want to add anything?
I would just agree with Sean, and then in reviewing the minutes from the Planning Commission, you know, Mr. Town, I mentioned that it was not, he felt it was not compatible with adjoining uses. and that the location was not the right location. I believe Patty Carcone said the same thing in the meeting minutes. And although we do need this type of product, it is a nice type of product to have within the township for our aging population, I would agree that the overall size of the lot and the location really is not appropriate. And that concludes my comments.
Hey, Chris?
I going through the special land use, the 9 criteria, it looks like they hit 8 of the 9, but not the compatibility to adjacent uses. So I'm a little stuck on that one as well. Maybe not as strongly as others, but it just looking at the neighboring parcels, they're large lot homes in that area. So that's and even further west into a more of a denser neighborhood. So I can see why there's concern over the compatibility to what the adjacent uses. I'm actually a little curious to hear Patty's comments too, because she was at the Planning Commission to hear it. I mean, I read the minutes as well, but it sounded like there was a lot of discussion on it. So I'm kind of curious what your thoughts were too, Patty.
Okay. Thanks, Chris. Patty?
Yeah, actually, we felt exactly what the planning commission note said. We thought that the parcel was very small for this project. And that was a big sticking point with a lot of the planning commissioners. And we really didn't like like how they have it located on the parcel also. We thought it needed to be moved way back. And we were concerned about the large lots also that were surrounding, and we did have public comment from the surrounding neighbors. And so that's what the planning commission really felt. It's just not the right parcel. And there are parcels in our township that could accommodate a building like this or a business like this. And that's what they thought. So it's like it's pigeonholed on one little parcel.
Okay. Robert, do you want to add anything?
I guess I'm a little more in echoing some of what Chris was saying, but maybe a little further. I guess to me, it is essentially residential in character. I mean, it's a place where these people are going to live, and not all sides are really bordering what I would truly consider single family homes. So it's not, I don't know about the isolating surrounding uses angle on this. For example, the parcel directly to the west is, yes, it's structurally a single family home type design, but it's used as adult foster care, so a very similar use. And then as Brian was saying, you've got Dandy Acres and the consent judgment commercial coming in across the street. So to me, this could be a good transitional use, especially with the way that they blocked off the rear portion of the parcel being largely undisturbed and open space that's then locked in is, to me, would kind of be a nice buffer for these uses compared to what else might be able to come in and develop at another use on this parcel.
Okay. Good comments. Michelle, anything to add?
Sure. I just had a couple things too. I had read the Planning Commission minutes and was concerned about number one, like they were kind enough to provide the plans for us, just basically where it was going to sit on the property. And I see where they have the water retention and looks like so very little parking. So I'm just wondering, why are they keeping that back space so wide open when it seems like maybe they can move it back further? I looked at the aerial and I do see the one up front, but they would have, it looks like where the water is there already is where they're keeping the retention. So would that further be a lot that they're going to want to split off? Or Could that be used for additional parking? It just seems like it's really, really tight on this property where they have it. And I would think that they'd want to move it further back. But again, this is just a rendering, and I know it's supposed to be for special land use, but it just looks too tight the way they presented it to us. That's my comment.
Okay, well, the applicants are here and maybe they could answer a couple of them questions. Does the applicant want to answer any of the questions that were asked there, or they have any?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear and see me?
We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. My name's Douglas Bohm. I'm with Comfort Care Senior Living, based out of Saginaw, Michigan. That's where we were founded, and now our central office is located. I do have a presentation I would like to share with the board and members of the community, if I'm allowed to do that.
How long is it? Is it quite long, or?
I mean, it gives a lot of information about the project. So I would say it's kind of long, yeah.
Well, tonight we're kind of going after the special land use, Doug. So I guess if you could just answer some of the basic questions first from some of the board members, that would be appreciative. Like, you know, it is very large on the project. Is there, on the property, is there a way that you could scope that down anyway to make that not so large on the property, or move it to the rear?
Yep. So if you guys have your plan in front of you, I can describe kind of what's going on this property. Back in the 70s or 80s, I can't remember exactly where it was, but they made that man-made pond that is located in the back, where you can see that walking path is surrounding it. So that kind of, oh, Brian is getting it open right now. So that we would have to have that engineered, filled, and we could potentially move the site back, and we would actually love to move the site back, but the township does not allow pumps. So we could not pump the excess water into the Yerkes drain on 10 Mile. And because this parcel is lower than the actual pipe, gravity wouldn't be able to push that water onto the Yerkes drain. And so we would have a pump, but the township does not allow pumps for this situation. So that is why we have another pond in front, where that is technically higher than the Yerkes drain, and that will be able to flow into that drain. In regard to parking, that was another one.
Hey, Doug, can I ask, you know what? I think that you probably have the right to give that presentation. If you could kind of just streamline it a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and let you go through that, because it looks like you should do that. It's a little more complicated.
All right, let me see here. Do you see it?
Yes, can see it well.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so this is just kind of an overview of the facility. It's 38,000 square feet, and we are proposing 54 units on this parcel. And then, like I said before, we would love to move this building back, but with this part of the land being lower than the Yerkes stream that runs across 10 Mile, it's just not feasibly possible without a pump. So that is why we have this retention pond right here.
Can I ask a question right when you're at that?
Yep.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Leslie, didn't you tell me about something with the pumps, that they could use the pumps for the back? Can you, I remember something about that.
You can't pump stormwater based on the engineering standards, but filling the back area might be an option for the applicant if this project moves forward.
So they could move it back if they wanted to fill.
I think so. I haven't done the analysis, but the issue they're having is the stormwater really needs to be close to 10 Miles so that they can build the storm sewer to the Yerkes drain. So if they were going to move the building to the rear, to the south, it would require filling of, there's a low area that would need to be filled to do that.
So Leslie, we could fill it, correct? And we could move the building back, but how would we get, I mean, so we can keep the retention there, I guess. So how would we get the stormwater from the back to the front?
You would pipe it.
Okay, even if it's lower than the actual drain itself, we would be allowed to have a pump. I mean, maybe I'm speaking of this wrong. I'm not sure on the engineer terms of this, but would that be possible?
You wouldn't be able to use a pump. You'd have to pipe it to the front. So it would.
Got it. And so is that possible on the site then? That would work?
It's possible from an engineering standards. I haven't analyzed what it would take to do that, but that's a suggestion.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
In regards to parking, our residents don't drive, so that is why you see not a lot of spots. I think there's about 40 spots or so. This is kind of the final home for a lot of our residents, and hence they don't drive. So a lot of the parking is geared for visitors, which are primarily on the weekends that are their adult children. They usually working during the week, and they tend to visit more on the weekends, and then also our staff as well. You can see we're going to create a lot of green space that will separate us from the surrounding homes. And then this is the home right here. You can see on the bottom of the picture that is currently in adult foster care that's being run as the same use as we're using. A little information about the site. You can see the setbacks 40 feet from the front, 30 feet from rear side, and then 75 from the right of way. Building height is 28 feet and 35 is the maximum. Lot coverage, our facility proposes 12% usage of the lot when 30% is max. And then you can see parking, how we came up with that calculation, and unit density. This is just kind of the brick veneer that we were looking at, but this is the front elevation in our building. And then this is our community in Sterling Heights, Michigan, that the interior will look very identical to what we're proposing here. That's just of a virtual tour that we're doing now with the kind of what we're dealing with in terms of COVID-19. That is how we're now displaying tours in our community since visitors are not allowed. To go over the floor plan, we do have 2 interior courtyards. We do have a full commercial kitchen with 2 full-time cooks that provide homemade meals for our residents. We're looking at 54 units here. And out of those 54, 14 are for memory care. So that's with a more of an advanced dementia or Alzheimer's diagnosis that they need a little bit more one-on-one care, and what we're able to provide. Here's the population. You can see the population 75 plus, and this is when I give you these statistics, this is a 5-mile radius of our location site. So you can see the population 75% or 75 and older. That is going to be your highest gross or highest growth that you'll see in age groups in Lyon Township and its 5 mile surrounding. So we will see a 28% increase and population 75 and older in this community. And when we talk about ADLs, this is activities of daily living. So this is grooming, bathing, toileting, medications, assisting with transfers. And you can add these all up, and there's about 6 of them. And when you hit 3, that is when you need help with assisted living, or that is when a good time for assisted living or home care would benefit you, kind of when you're gearing toward the end of your life. And so what we'll see here, between 75 and 85 and plus, 18.6 of the 75 plus population needs help with this currently right now. And this is more statistics regarding the 18.6 of the population 75 and older. And while they'll need primarily an assisted living as to opposing receiving home care at home. Services we offer, studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, nursing services, medication assistance, bathing, changing, grooming, physician services, podiatry services, PT and OT, full-time activities department, and our full chefs on staff. Impact on the surrounding development. We will provide housing, dietary, and nursing care to the aging population 55 and older. Many seniors are struggling at home with help of 3 to 6 ADLs. This includes what I described before. We estimate that there will be a little over 2,300 homeowners and renters aged 75 and older who have the income, assets, and declining health warranting for an assisted living at a monthly fee of $4,000 and for memory care $5,000. And that will be $865 for the $5,000 level mark for memory care. And I know one of the comments made during Planning Commission, and I'd like to clear that up here, is that this impact might hurt home values that are in Lyon Township. Back in 2013, you can see this house right here on Copperwood. This is a subdivision right off of 10 Mile Road where their backyard is essentially Cambrian Senior Living, which is on 10 Mile. Back in 2013, the house sold for $302,000, and then 2019, 2 years after Cambrian opened, it sold for $392,000, and this is on par with home values in Lyon Township from 2013 to 2019. So I'd like to make that clear that this development wouldn't have a negative impact on home values in its surrounding area. Impact on the economy. Lyon Comfort Care will create 50 full-time and part-time jobs. This development will be a $12 million investment into Lyon Township, which would generate close to $500,000 in yearly tax revenue for the municipalities. The construction phase alone will create over 100 jobs, and this will essentially keep loved ones in Lyon Township rather than going to its surrounding communities. And you can see here, these would necessarily be all of our competitors. And you can see just one, I circled it here, is Cambrian of Lyon. 16 out of the 21 of these are more than 10 miles away. And you can see our market is within a 5 mile radius. And essentially, if you're in Lyon Township, do you really want to go to Brighton or Northville, Commerce even, to visit your loved ones? You most likely want to stay close to where you live, and that's Lyon Township. Land use impacts. Lyon Comfort Care will be a resident use that has 24/7 operations. Minimal impacts on neighbors, and that includes noise, odor, glare. 3 shifts in employees, and with traffic in regards to staffing and visitors, that would be a 3% increase in traffic count on 10 Mile Road. Here are some pictures from our other communities that are in Michigan. This is a OT and physical therapy area where, say, if you do have an accident or a sickness that kind of delays your development, we do have it's essentially a mock kitchen, a mock bathroom, and exercise equipment where residents can learn how to do these things again, and they can potentially go home. So this is laundry, washing dishes, bending over to grab something out of the refrigerator, using the toilet again. So we'll provide these services and potentially your loved ones can go back home after they're able to rehabilitate and gain these skills again. Dining room. And these are some pictures from our communities that we do in terms of community events, volunteering, and hosting events at our own communities with members of the public. And it's not going forward, but essentially that's it. I would ask the members of the Board of Trustees that I know you have concerns about this project being on this site, but we've done our research over the past 2 years, and we felt this is the best site. There were no sites over the past 2 years that could host this facility without going through the special land use, or even, I guess, worse if you're considering a rezoning. And I really like to show that this is a nice transition from the single family large lot homes to commercial across the street. This is a residential use. It is where the aging population of Lyon Township can stay in their community where they grew up, and they can live their final days within the township. And if you have any questions, I am open to them.
Hey, Doug, thank you. That was very helpful, actually.
Thank you.
You know, I do think this is just my push at this whole thing. I do think that this is something that's needed in Lyon Township. I mean, our parents, and well, I should say me now, it's not my parents, but people are getting older, and we really don't have any place to take care of them. And how great would it be to take care of them right here in our township? And, you know, as Chris said, they met, you know, 8 of the 9 criteria, which is pretty amazing. I don't know, it seems to me like it'd be a decent transition. And I think that these places do go up in residential areas all over. And I think they're people open their arms for them because they are, you know, my wife's parents went through a situation like this. And I'll tell you, when they're far away, it's very hard to come and see them. And this is pretty much a pretty low impact project compared to what it could be with, you know, quite a few homes back in there. And the traffic to me would be a lot less than a bunch of homes, and it is transitional. Them are just my thoughts. And I would like for anyone to ask Doug any questions they'd like to ask him about that. And then we can move on to whatever we're going to do here. Anyone have any questions for Doug?
I do. Michelle Cash.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Doug, I just had a question since you, I talked about parking and then you brought it up again, and then you were kind enough to bring up Cambrian. And I run there several times around election time because a lot of them still want to vote and they do not drive. So we make the effort to make sure we get there at least once, twice a week to pick up their information or drop off their paperwork for them. We'd also, because people do come and go from different facilities, that we're able to register people there to vote. And you have to really be careful of your parking, because I know you are coming across on as assisted living, but if you are memory care, I get that they don't drive. And that is a strictly memory care facility there also. There is no place to park. I mean, with their staff and with people visiting, and if they are in the community, and a lot of these people are significantly older, we really are still, I guess they still have family that come during the day. I know you say most people work and it's usually weekends, but I haven't been there on a weekend. I'm mostly there during the week, and there's no place to park there. Abbey Park does have assisted living. So those people do come with cars, or one of the people usually drive out of the couples that are there, and they have no place to park. So just be careful with your parking and make sure that you do have enough space. And I don't know if we have a certain requirement that has to be met, but just be mindful of that. And maybe when you guys are in the area, go take a look at Cambrian and see how crowded it is.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I can bring up the calculation. It was on this slide on number 2, I believe, about how we came up with the parking. Can you see that on the
Yeah,
model?
I see that. I mean, that's a great to have a calculation, but if you really want to check it out, I mean, go see what Cambrian's done and see that there is no place to park.
Yeah, and then, I mean, we have no problem increasing the spaces. This was based on the requirements from the municipality and then also what we see in our 8 communities throughout.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just surprised that how it is full and that there are people coming and going all the time, coming to see the people that they have there, which I think is fantastic. You want that, to be or to happen for them, and not them just being left there all the time. So it's great to see, but yeah, there was really, we had no place to park. We left our car running and ran in.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
John, after having seen the presentation, I have a few additional comments, if I may.
Please, go ahead.
I recognize that you have brought up that this is the same as Copperwood. You brought up that graphic and you showed that one house that is looking right at, on Copperwood Drive, that's looking at the back of Cambrian Senior Living. And I would definitely say that that is that's not really a fair comparison. Those homes all within Copperwood were all part of a universal development, one of a grocery store, which is now Kroger. There's like the entire development was designed for them to be near something other than homes. So when you bought a house in Copperwood, even if it were the beginning of the project, you knew that there was going to be a grocery store there. You knew that there was going to be a bank there, or a salon, or a real estate office. So the people living in Copperwood should have been relatively expectant that there would be something of that nature nearby where they're living. Now, if you take a look at the location that you want to put this project, you have these you have these large lots, especially off of Outback Drive, and then I think it's Lazy K Drive that has some large lots as well. So I think that your comparison of, well, look at this house that looks out at Cambrian and it didn't change its property value. I think it's a disingenuous comparison. These are, Copperwood is as nice as the neighborhood is and as large as the lots may be. Those are not single family large lot country style lots like you are dealing with on Outback. And like I said, I think it's Lazy K and a couple of other private roads that are coming in off of 9 Mile that would be near your project.
Got it. And
the other homes that are located there off of some private driveways of 10 Mile, those are large lots, very rural in nature. So the comparison does not really hold.
Got it. And I apologize for that. I tried giving an example because when I heard that during the planning commission, and I've been through 8, 9 of these meetings with different municipalities, and that's the first time I ever heard that, where this potential development would hurt home values. And so I had to look it up for myself to see if there was some kind of backing kind of research for this. And to be honest, I looked through Google for 3 straight weeks and I could not find an article or even a news article or research that even kind of covered this topic. It just seems like it hasn't even been touched. And so that's why I just tried finding a local community. And since there's really only one licensed community, and there's only one house that sold within the past couple of years, that's what I only came off of. So I just wanted to show that I don't think there's actual evidence or research that shows that senior housing hurts home values of nearby properties.
Well, in most of the senior housing that I've ever seen has been in residential areas. I mean, why would you put the seniors that need assistance into a commercial piece of property. I mean, it's your parents, it's your sisters, your mother, it's everybody. And that's not something you wouldn't want to go through a bunch of grocery stores to get to this type of a facility. I mean, I think in our ordinance, we put them in residential areas for a reason. I think that it's part of we don't have them in commercial properties. That's our ordinance, so.
Yeah, and
John, I just have a question. I wanted to make sure, I'm not implying in any way that I wanted this facility in a commercial area. I didn't know if that's what you thought I was trying to.
No, Lisa, I'm not saying that. No, I'm just saying,
Okay.
I don't think this would fit in a commercial area. I mean, if we wanted to put some facility like this, I don't see this really dropping value of homes when it goes from a field like it is 8 or 10 or 12 acres to a beautiful building that's basically residential. I know everybody's saying it's commercial, but it is residential. I mean, it's housing parents and older people and people that need assistance. And that's just my thing. I'm not saying it one way or the other. I'm just saying that it's probably something that's super needed in Lyon Township.
Yeah, and I spoke to the current owner of the property right now. She had some remarks, but I'm not sure if there's a public hearing for this item or not. But she did mention to me that this parcel has been literally on the market for years now, and apartments have came to her, daycare centers come to her. Not really residential, it's more of these commercial uses. And then finally, when we came along, she kind of jumped at the bit, because this house right here, you can see, which is adult foster care home. She used to own and operate this home herself, and eventually, due to health and some other reasons, she kind of gave up that business and sold it, which it's still continuing to be ran as an adult foster care. She kind of jumped at this bit, visited our community in nearby Brighton, which just opened up in 2019, and she kind of sold. And I think she got a couple other offers, but she felt like this was the most practical use, and she thought this would go through the township, and so did we. And to be honest, we spent a lot of money on this project thinking it would go through, and you're kind of stunned when it didn't go through the planning commission. We spent close to $50,000-$70,000, and if this doesn't go back, I mean, we're a small business, we're gonna take a huge hit because of this. But we had all intentions of getting this through and opening it and start development. I mean, we plan on starting development this fall, but looks like if it does go through, we'll have to go back to the spring and hopefully open late 2021. I mean, we're eager at opening this and using the $12 million investment from our partners, and obviously the bank that we work with, and getting this started as soon as possible.
All right, well, is anyone like to ask any more questions? And if not, a motion would be in order. And
I guess I'm just curious, what would be allowed by right without a special land use to be developed here? Could we wind up with something that's more intensive of a use that would potentially be more detrimental or less wanted by surrounding property owners compared to this?
That's a good question, Robert. And I think that's something that maybe Brian, what could be done on 8 or 10 acres of property on 10 Mile?
So the things that are listed by right are single family homes, of course, farms, agricultural tourism. So that's one that could potentially be
Is
pretty
that
intrusive.
like the event barns that we're looking at potentially?
Yeah, it'd be event barns. It would be, a roadside stand, things like that. There could also be storage and wholesale marketing or processing of agricultural products, hobby farms, private kennels, private stables and riding areas, and essential services. Those are the major ones. So, I mean, there are some, yes.
How many homes can go on that parcel?
Well, it's just under 9 acres. So technically, they'd be looking at a density of probably 8 homes, 7 homes by the time they get stormwater and a private road in there. 7 or 8, I would guess.
How would estimated traffic counts compare on something like that? Very roughly.
So we estimate 10 trips a day from a single family house. So you're talking 70 or 80. I don't have the specific traffic count for a facility of this size.
Doug, do you guys have an estimate?
Yeah, it's anywhere from 2 to 3 trips per day, per unit.
Okay, so
we would be at like
100.
100 and they would be at 90.
Okay.
And that's if we're at 100% full.
All right.
Does that, in that traffic count, does that include trips for EMS?
Yeah, that number would be included in EMS. That would include doctors, visitors, staff, specialists, activities. That includes everything.
What about trucks for supplies?
We do order a lot through Gordon Food Service, and then a lot of our other items are just ordered through Amazon. So our big trip is once every 3 weeks or 2 weeks, I think it is, and that's the Gordons. They drop off the produce and groceries, but the rest would just be like your mini Amazon van or whatever they use now. Amazon. It looks like it's every other day they're changing what they use, but that's kind of what we're looking at. And then obviously we're looking at garbage once a week, but that's what we're looking at in terms of deliveries and receiving.
Okay, well, I think we've talked this one through, and I don't know if anyone would be up to making a motion. I myself think it's a good fit, but that's me. Someone could make a motion. Anyone want to make a motion?
I will make a motion in the case of AP 20-22B, which is Comfort Care Senior Housing, to deny the request per the recommendation of the Planning Commission, citing that it has been found to be non-compatible with adjacent uses, which is criteria number 1 in special land use, in list of special land use conditions.
I'll support that.
All right, we have a motion to deny the special land use and a support. Kelly, would you please call this by roll?
Yes. Michelle Cash,
Yes.
Lisa Blades,
Yes.
Patricia Carconi,
Yes.
Christopher Enlow,
Yes.
Robert Swain,
No.
John Dolan,
No.
Sean O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion denied. All right.
So if I may ask, because I know it was denied based on not being compatible. Are you saying this is a commercial use then? Or I guess I'm just not understanding how it's not.
As it sits right now, the special land use for the property was denied. So, Brian, want to answer that?
Well, I think I heard that the deny votes felt that this was too intensive of a use. It was not what was expected of some of the larger lots that are surrounding this property. Potential traffic and noise impacts are the things that I heard from the board members.
I'll just say really quickly, Doug, since I made the motion, I like the product. I think there's a need for it. I think there are 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound bag here. And, I think had you had a larger parcel or some more area between your use and the surrounding uses, I might have felt differently, as may have the planning commission may have as well. I can't speak for them. So, I know that you spent time and effort on this site, and certainly I would like to see you here operating this type of business, but not in this physical way on this particular site. And, I know we were talking about, Patty, about some of the site plan issues at the beginning, and this is really more special land use, and it's hard to talk about special land use without getting into some of the site issues, but that's sort of what I see with it.
Because you said it's a 5 or a 10-pound bag fitting in a 5-pound bag essentially, but even though we meet all the setback requirements and the lot percentage use.
Well, you're talking about an impact, so you may meet all those things, but it doesn't mean that you don't have a negative impact on the surrounding use. So that's just my feeling.
Okay, well, we have to end that. It has been denied, Doug, and I'm sorry about that, but we have to move on.
Okay, I appreciate it, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the consideration of an ordinance, Charter Township of Lyon, to amend the Lyon Crossing PD Plan Development Amendment on ZOC. On this one, I would like to, this is a final approval, and I know we've all seen the project over and over, and I know there was a couple of items that we asked them to change. And I sure would like to just go over them items that were changed, if they were not, Brian, and kind of give this a bullet point. And let's move this one on.
Absolutely, John. Doug or Rob, could you stop the share?
There we
Oh,
go.
perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to pop up the updated site plan here on your screen. Again, this is Lyon Center Drive, just west of Milford Road and north of Grand River, for those of you who are not familiar. During the preliminary review, the big topics, I'll say there were really two that we spent a lot of time on with the applicants. The first being the location of the driveway. If you remember at preliminary, the driveway used the existing curb cut along Lyon Center Drive. However, there were some potential impacts or issues related to visibility and sight lines to the driveway for Tractor Supply. And so the applicants have they've modified the site plan to move that driveway to line up with Tractor Supply to get rid of those concerns. So based on that change, there are some configuration changes to the building itself. You'll see that caused the quick change facility to flip-flop sides on the building. So it's now on the west side of the structure. And some of the other circulation items have been modified to address that or to work with that change also. All of these changes do not pose any issues in terms of compliance with our ordinance standards. So from the site plan perspective, that is all compliant, and we are comfortable with that. The other topic we spent time on was the requirement to provide a sidewalk along the south side of Lyon Center Drive from Milford Road all the way down to the roundabout. The updated plans do show that information, show that sidewalk to be installed, and so we believe that has been met also. We have a couple other comments in our review letter, but nothing that is what I'd consider a showstopper. We do mention that some of the signage is a bit unique for the site, and so some modifications to the sign standards for the development will need to be considered by the township board. But that was a topic that we discussed at preliminary also. So nothing significant other than those. The applicants are here. I think Leslie has a letter as well.
Okay. Leslie, you want to add anything to that?
We're comfortable with the changes that the applicant has made. They're going through the detailed engineering process right now. So we're satisfied.
Okay, I think that, you know, you can, if anyone has any questions for the Zats, I know they're all here. I don't really think we need to go through a presentation on it again. I think we all understand it, but I do want to give everybody the opportunity to ask any questions that they need to. Other than that, I think it's ready for a final approval, but I'm not going to put words in anyone's mouth. If anyone has any questions for Brian, Leslie, or any of the ZAT team, please go ahead and ask them now.
I have a quick one for Brian.
Oh, go on, Chris.
Brian, what was the final lot coverage percentage on this one? You mentioned that it was reduced between preliminary and final.
No, it's a good question, Chris. I don't recall off the top of my head. Maybe Mr. Gasson has it available. Otherwise, give me 1 second.
Mr. Chairman, this is David Gasson with Partners in Architecture. I'm calling from, or I'm online from Mount Clemens in Macomb County.
Okay.
I could address a couple things, specifically the area. I don't know the square footage, but I know it's 6.7% less now than it was before in terms of building area coverage that was indicated in the report, but that's something that we have carried from the preliminary into the final through Planning Commission now to you. One thing I'd like to stress, and we do have a presentation, and we'll forego that because I think it's covered pretty well in the report, but I just wanted to highlight a couple things that were asked for confirmation in the report. Square footages, 22,597 as far as the building goes. And the other confirmation that was needed was parking count. And it was 684 as a conflict. It's really 688. The one other thing I just like to stress is the overall response from June to now is we listened to what you said, considered the suggestions, and the resultant is the changes that were made, including the reduction in coverage, the drive alignment, and landscaping and so forth. There were a couple other things outlined in the report, and I'll answer any question. I just want to, in sake of time, just be here and answer questions you have other than going through the presentation.
I really do appreciate that. And
David, could I interrupt and answer the question about the lot coverage? Right now, it is 71.6%.
Thank you, Scott.
Chris, does that answer the question?
Yeah, that answered the question. I know we had, I think during preliminary, we had a maximum lot coverage of 75% per ordinance. So I think you brought that down under that. You fixed the left turn conflict, which was probably my biggest hang up on this project. And I guess the last comment I have, and it's probably not anything you have to address, but I noticed on the signage on the building, you have ZOT I-96, and it's just a personal thing. I-96 is a pretty long freeway across the state. If there's a neat way to say ZOT Lyon or something to address its present location, because I assume you're going to continue to be successful and build several of these along the 96 corridor. Just a thought. It's none of my business or anything to do with the project, but it just kind of stuck out as a little bit odd to me to call it ZOT I-96.
It's an interesting point. I appreciate that, and we'll definitely look into the option with something other than 96. And just as another note on signage, from last time we were together, it was a topic of discussion, and this plan now shows a 32% reduction in building signage.
It looks like you covered a lot of the bases that were asked you to cover. I mean,
John, I have a question.
Go ahead.
First of all, I would like to reiterate Chris Enlow's comment. I am a huge proponent for identifying that developments are located in Lyon. And if you could in some way incorporate Lyon Township, I would be quite happy about that. Brian, could you bring up the plans again? Because I was having a hard time seeing where the sidewalk ends. Oh, geez, good old Shell. Because there is no sidewalk in front of Taco Bell. And is this plan going to put oh my gosh, my old eyes. Is there a plan to put a sidewalk in front of the property that does not belong to the dealership?
Yes, there is. It's going to be in front of Taco Bell and Bell Tire to the intersection at Milford Road. There's a segment right now that exists in front of Arby's, so we'd be tying into that on two ends. Likewise, it goes all the way down to Grand River and connects to the sidewalk network that is there now. So it'll be complete sidewalk coverage on the south side, all the way from Milford down to Grand River.
That's fantastic. And really, I just would reiterate, as much as I like this project and as much as I like the sidewalk connections, I really do not feel like a walkable downtown area is the appropriate place to have a car dealership. But having said that, it's completely, that is the only thing that I have against your project. I just think it's in the wrong spot. Everything else on it looks fantastic.
Okay.
Hey, John.
Go ahead.
I had just one question beyond, and I appreciate the curing of the traffic conflicts, and I had a hunch you might be moving your driveway rather than Tractor Supply moving theirs, but there's a comment regarding landscaping. It sounds like you've met the landscaping requirement, but there's a significant reduction in plantings along the south side. I'd really like to see some of the evergreen plantings put back in on the south side. Looking at a computer, and I'm not as old as Lisa, she mentioned her old eyes. I'm not quite there. I just wanted to say for the record, several years older than I am, but I could not see very well on my screen the plantings numbered. And I'm not talking about 100 trees, but I'm asking for some evergreen trees. And, you know, Brian, I know you're going to work with these guys to make sure that, you know, everything gets ironed out in the end. So I don't know if we want to specify a number or just agree that we'll put some of the evergreen plantings back along that south side to create a buffer from what will be, you know, the back of the building and a large parking lot. And I guess there we go. Yeah, I mean, when I compared the preliminary and the current plan, it didn't look that significantly different, but I didn't try to count you know, every single dot, but I know that there was a bit of a reduction. And so if there's a way we can plug some back in along that stretch, I think that'll be helpful. There are residents to the south across what is a several acre in size strip between the south end of this property and the north side of Grand River. But, you know, it could be a while before that's developed. And obviously parking lots will be lit to some extent. And just like to buffer that a little bit.
We can certainly look at some redistribution. From June till now, basically what we've done, and again, it was kind of listening to what your concerns were at that point. We moved some from the south property line to the west property and then created that bank right there in the middle of the parking. So there are movements from the south elsewhere on the site. And in addition, on the north corner, east corner up near Taco Bell, we added 22 evergreen, really right where the cursor is now and then across there. So we've added some, but we can certainly, per your suggestion, look at how we make sure the density is covered well on the south property line. I mean, I think really from the property line of detention to the west is where we can move some from, because the screening there is covered in 3 layers: at the sidewalk, at the property line, and then in the parking lot. So there's a fairly good coverage. And one of the images we show on our PowerPoint illustrates that pretty well. But I see your point, and we will definitely do that. We'll look at redistribution to the south.
And I guess I would encourage you not to redistribute them. I know that there appears to be a significant increase in the number of evergreen shrubs and then the reduction in deciduous and evergreen trees. So I guess what I'm talking about is maybe try to scatter, a dozen more evergreen trees, 6-foot evergreen trees along that belt, spread them out and infill a little bit rather than distribute them differently. Because I do like the screening to the west side. I do think that was one of the concerns, and it looks like you've addressed it. I guess I'd just like to add, a number of trees that'll screen year round if that could be done.
Very well.
Well, it was an arbitrary number, but like I said, I'm not asking for a huge amount of trees, but if it's a nice green belt already and we can supplement it with a dozen more trees, it would probably go a long way.
We will certainly do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else like to ask any questions?
Well,
Oh, sorry.
I'd like to say that I agree with Chris and Lisa. That I was a little concerned about the sign that says I-96, I-96. So if there's any way you could add Lyon to that, I would also appreciate that. I think it's really important. I know you might be doing a theme about it, but I think we're very proud of where we live. And I think that we would appreciate that if that can be taken care of. And are you guys still interested in having that special board meeting? Because that might be something that if you are, now would be the time to ask for it if this goes through. If you still wanted it, I think.
Yes, Patty. Yes, Patty. I didn't know when was the right time to bring that up, but
Yeah, I think that I know you had asked, and I said, well, we have to ask the board, because it can't be up to like Michelle and I or John. They have to be available and willing to have that. So
understood.
Yeah.
We can take that up as soon as we get this motion. Here.
Okay.
I didn't want to be presumptuous.
Yeah. Anyone else have any comments or want to ask questions for the project?
I think they've done everything we've asked, and the planning commission was all thumbs up for this. So again, they did every single thing we asked them to do, and including Tony made sure that sidewalk, Lisa, went to the places that it needed to go. He promised that. He's always been good for his honor, and he did. So I think we're all pretty thrilled.
Is everyone good? If everyone's good, then a motion be in order.
John, sorry.
Yeah, please.
Go
ahead, Robert.
On the lighting, I know previously, I believe you guys had mentioned that you were going to be dimming the lights at night. I don't know if it's timer or motion or whatever, but I was just curious what kind of percentage dimming are we talking about here? Or some sort of description of, I guess, how much light reduction compared to what I think of as like a classic fully lit up right dealership parking lot.
The lighting system for exterior parking is very controllable and adjustable. So there will be a time once things get under operation that they'll try to find the optimum lighting levels, wanting it to be safe, obviously, but also to be energy smart. So there will be a time frame where that system is going to be tweaked, and input obviously happens in that process too, in terms of brightness and effect or influence. So there is going to be a time where if there is anything that needs to be tweaked on behalf of the township, that the ownership can look into that too.
Okay, thanks. Then I
Robert, just real quick, this is Todd Zott. At our Ford store, we drop it down to 10% at night.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I guess then just briefly a general comment that I like the product and everything. I still was stuck on the contradiction between plopping a dealership into the kind of the pathway between what's leading into what we're trying to say is a walkable downtown, and just that contradiction still bothers me a bit. But I understand that we are past that point, and I was not around for the conceptual and preliminary. So I just wanted to state that, but I do like, I appreciate a lot of the changes that have been made since that point. So.
Okay, well, good comments. Anyone else? Michelle, anything? Anyone?
No, I'm good. They did what we asked them to do. So thank you.
I think they did too.
Oh,
Very
yep.
good.
And I think everybody's on the same board with ZOT Lyon instead of ZOT I-96.
I can address that a little bit. This is Thad Zott. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we do is strategic marketing. You know, the automotive world, like other businesses, are ultra competitive and ultra sensitive, and you got to have every edge to be successful in our industry. And one of the things that we found that have been successful at a couple of other locations is putting M59 in the name of the dealership. Our dealership in Highland has it. Our dealership in White Lake has it. And the reason that we decided to do that was for the exact reason you guys named. M59 goes a long way. It goes all the way over to Lake St. Clair. And people are familiar with it. They're comfortable with it. They know it. They travel it. And they're more apt to go farther because if it's a comfortable name for them. So with I-96, the idea is to get people from the east side to come to Lyon Township. And so there's strategic marketing behind that decision. It doesn't say that we can't have a conversation and look at that, but I'm just giving you some insight into, you know, kind of what's in our brains and why do we make these decisions. We want to pull people from both sides of I-96 to Lyon Township to do business. And, you know, potentially, you know, spill out into other businesses as well. When they're buying a car, they potentially may grab lunch or do some other shopping. And that's some of the things that have worked for us. And, you know, like I said, it's not that we're not proud of Lyon Township. We're very proud to be, you know, potentially here in Lyon Township. And you'll see, you know, some of the things that we've talked about come to fruition. I mean, the other thing, I think some of the things you guys are concerned with the walkability, I look at that as opportunity. You know, can we have movie nights in the summer out in our parking lot to draw the community out, to get to the dealership, to, you know, play a kid's movie and set up chairs in the parking lot and get the community out there? Can we have ice cream socials? I mean, can we have events to draw the community to our dealership because we want people walking down there? And I think together we can also come up with some other ideas, I think strategically to get people walking to our dealership that will filter into other businesses too. We want to be successful and we want to be a partner. And I think some of the comments you make, to me, equal opportunity for us to, you know, strategically come up with some creative ideas as partners in this whole venture together to achieve what you want to achieve. And I think we can help support that, even though, you know, we may not be your traditional walking location of the ice cream shop. There's other creative ways to get people to walk to the dealership and draw them down there. And I think with some of your input and our partnership, you'll see we'll do some fun things together. So that's just a few comments that I have.
Very good. Well, we're looking forward to that. And Lyon in your name. We're looking forward to that. Okay. Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Don, if you want to make it.
No, go ahead. You go.
I'll make a motion to approve the introduction of an ordinance for the Charter Township of Lyon to amend the Lyon Crossing Plan Development Amendment, ZOT Automotive final review with the addition of at least 12 trees.
I'll support that.
All right, we have a motion and a support. Any further discussion on the issue?
Can I just clarify, is this, because this is an ordinance thing, does that mean there's a second reading after this vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'd like to call this one by roll.
Sure. Sean O'Neill?
Wait, did we get a second?
Yes.
I did.
Oh, sure. Sorry, Sean.
Yes.
Thank you.
Kelly, yes.
Christopher Enlow?
Yes.
Lisa Blades?
No.
Patricia Carconi?
Yes.
Michelle Cash?
Yes.
Robert Swain?
Abstain.
John Dolan?
Yes. Okay. Well, welcome to Lyon Township. Let's get going.
Thank you very much. We'll look forward to it. And the other item of a special meeting, is that appropriate to discuss now?
Yeah, I think we should ask that question. I guess that the Zots would like to have a special meeting set up before the first of the year. And I guess that would have to be approved by this board on a date, and if they want to do that.
Actually, John, it would need to be before the 15th of December.
Oh.
So just this is Tony Antone. So this is a little bit of a tricky situation because we got a little delayed with the road commission. There's a lender involved that is requiring a closing by December 15th. And while we technically disagreed with the requirement for a second reading because an automotive use is already approved in the PUD, Carol and Brian still thought that a second reading is required, which is fine. But, and I expect it to take all of 5 minutes. But if we could schedule that, and we'll be happy to pay for a special meeting yet this week or Monday at the latest, that would be extraordinarily helpful because otherwise it is going to cause all kinds of havoc on this deal. And we're trying to avoid that at all costs.
Okay.
I'm happy to meet again.
So I guess if everyone's okay to meet before the 15th, we have to figure a date out that
Me
works.
too. I got my calendar. I have planning commission on Monday. We can we do it before Monday? I like before that, say like 6 on Monday.
The only thing, when we were trying to schedule a special DDA meeting on the same night as the planning commission, we were told it would have to be scheduled at 5 p.m. or before. Just wanted to throw that out there because of the electronic using Zoom. There was more to it than that, but that's what they told us, at least 2 hours before.
What about Thursday?
Oh, this Thursday?
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
That would work for me. What time were you thinking? You talking about a 7 or a 5?
I would.
Or 6.
I would say maybe 6. Could we do 6?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can everyone shoot for Thursday at 6? Does that work for everyone?
Yeah. Works for me.
Well, my question is to Carol, is everything final? Will you guys have everything to us? Is there anything that needs else to be done, or are we just meeting? I mean, just question.
The final.
Well,
amendment.
we'll have to have.
I mean, we got to have enough time to get
Okay,
everything posted and.
I don't have the package with me tonight. Do you have the ordinance format in this packet?
We have, if you go to your email, we've got the 5th Amendment to the Plan Development Agreement.
Okay, but we've got to have the ordinance format. So Brian, we're going to have to get all the info to plug into that.
I guess her question is, can you do that by Thursday? And can we get this advertised in enough time?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be probably by Wednesday, so we can post it.
Right.
It's already Monday. Tomorrow's Tuesday.
I know.
Brian's not answering us.
I mean, it's tight.
Do
I'm going to need all the legal to put into the ordinance format. Brian, can you send that to Julie and I tomorrow?
Yeah, Lisa has a good chunk of it from the watermark portion.
Okay.
So it's there shouldn't be that much work to do on it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not allowed to leave my house apparently until after the 20th. So I'll be here on Friday too, in my residential prison. So I could even do it Friday.
You guys, I mean, it's good with me. I can do any of them days. So it's got to work out for getting the paperwork together, get it advertised, and, to do it that quickly. So, and I haven't heard from Lisa and Chris and Robert to see if they're good with that.
Any day after 2:30, I'm available.
Yeah, I mean, all we're doing in this case, this would be, I'm assuming, the only item. So we're hopping on, and I can be available pretty much whenever.
Okay, so Thursday or Friday, it sounds like we're all good.
Yep.
At 6 o'clock. Okay, so would you rather have Friday to get that together, Carol?
I mean, as long as I can get the information, putting it together is easy. Okay, I just need all the legal descriptions. So that's not that difficult. So yes, I can put that together. It's just so.
Does that
We-
team?
and we already have the replat, Carol, too, is all
Yeah.
taken care of, and CES has checked it, and I've looked over it all, so.
Okay, it has been checked. Okay.
Right, then let's do
It's all been made
Thursday.
into one unit number now.
Okay, so Thursday.
Thursday, 6 o'clock.
Thank you all for that. Appreciate it.
We have to talk to, is it Brad? We gotta make sure, or Rob, because we gotta get a meeting number and all that.
Yeah, I will let Ken know Thursday
Okay.
at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very
We've got a
much.
long agenda yet to go,
Thanks.
guys.
I know, very long.
So we're gonna move on to the special land use for Culver's Restaurant at 22700 Pontiac Trail. Brian, do you wanna give us the vote?
Yes, thank you, John. The proposed Culvers is located at the same site where the Township Board approved the special land use last year for a Burger King. Because the plan has changed and the franchise has changed, the special land use needs to be re-reviewed and re-updated. We find essentially the same, we come to the same conclusions in terms of how this particular drive-through restaurant is compatible with all of the uses along Pontiac Trail. It will be a little bit different in terms of form. You can see there are dual drive-throughs, which is becoming the industry norm for fast food restaurants. And so other than that, many of the items that were still out in the open in terms of the site plan, some of the relocation of the drains, some of the driveway things, they have all been addressed by the applicant. We don't see many impacts on the adjacent properties. The landscape plan does show a pretty significant buffer along the northeast corner of the parking lot here, which is where there are two adjacent residential uses. But other than those two, the site and the use fit our master plan. They fit our zoning ordinance. We don't find any significant impact that would cause us to view this negatively. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of the site plan. I do note specifically that there is a variance required for the parking along the southern property line. The ordinance has a required 10-foot setback for parking in the zoning district. There were specific comments from the planning commissioners and I'll say some of whom are notoriously strict with the application and do not recommend special land use approval where variances are required. But that particular individual still felt that this was an appropriate use, and zero lot line clearance for parking is found along some of the commercial properties along Pontiac Trail, so it's not out of character for the area. So with that being said, the site plan was approved conditional upon special land use approval, and you do have a recommendation from the Planning Commission to approve the special land use. That would be our recommendation as well.
Okay. Leslie, anything to add?
Just referencing our December 4th review letter, the project is proposed to be served by the existing 4-inch force main that's available to the parcel. Lyon Township water main is not available to the site. Therefore, the project would be required to install a well to service the proposed project. The project also proposes an on-site detention basin with a connection to the Sayer drain, which runs through the parcel. And there's also a drain relocation as part of this project. If the township board approves the special land use, the applicant would be required to submit for a detailed engineering review. And those are all of our comments.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Leslie or Brian?
I've got one for Brian. I kind of sent him an email in advance on this one, just for discussion on the photometrics plan and the lighting. In the, I think it was discussed too at the planning commission level as part of the special land use, was screening to the adjacent neighbors. And I noticed on the north side where those couple of homes will be bordering the property that they've got a couple light poles there. And I wasn't sure, it looks like it doesn't meet ordinance, but the photometrics plan is a little unclear at that. And as part of the special land use, tying that in with some of the screening comments that were mentioned at the planning commission level, in terms of, there was discussion of even a masonry wall. So I wasn't sure how that all resolved and how that was all tied together with the special land use.
So in terms of the lighting, you're correct. The plan that was reviewed by the Planning Commission had some lighting levels that were beyond the ordinance, and it was identified in the meeting, and the applicants committed to updating that photometric plan. That's not particularly unusual, and those are typically things that we'll address when the final stamp plans come in. Staff will review those administratively. I'll defer to both Mark and Charles. The applicant and the applicant's representative are here this evening. I don't know if they were able to make any progress on fitting a wall in along the east side of the parking lot. That was one thing that the Planning Commission was hoping to see.
And to clarify too, was it the east part where there's a larger setback to the residents, not the north part where you're right bordering homes?
Correct. It was the east side between the parking lot and the detention basin.
Okay. Well, they are here tonight, so let's go ahead. And any more questions for Brian? If not, we can bring them in, Chris, and you can ask that question.
Brian, I have a question. Are the call boxes on this plan in relatively the same location as the old plan for the previous restaurant? And now that we have the 2 lanes, as opposed to, I believe the old plan only had the 1 lane of drive-through. So that's question 1. And question 2, was the parking issue in the old plan as well? And if not, what changed to make the need for a variance?
So question 1, the order boxes are still on the east side of the building, so they've not changed. They're still a significant distance away from the property line, and we did talk about some of the technologies and things like that being used during the Planning Commission meeting, and it was determined that that sound from those was not going to be an issue. The parking, I don't recall the Burger King plan whether or not there was the need for a parking variance. There are some modifications to this plan that warrant a wider drive lane on the south side. As I understand it, the Road Commission required the secondary approach to the restaurant, and so instead of just using the existing driveway to the north, there was an additional one required along the south side of this particular property. And so so that's part of the change with this one. The building footprint is a little bit wider in my estimation. We can confirm with Mark that that's the case. And then also the other change here with the Culver's operation is if you've been to any of the other facilities, maybe the one in Wixom, you know that you drive up to the window, you pay, and then you queue up in some of these spots that are, I guess, just to the west of the order window. And so that area needs to be a little bit wider as well. So those are the things that we've identified as rationale for that parking being close to the southern property line.
Thank you. And then what is to the immediately to the south? Because my plans are taking forever to load, so I can't get to that screen. What is the is that a business or is that residence?
The Jimmy John Sitco.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Sean?
I have a couple comments, but I can wait until after the applicant says what they'd like to say.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and bring the applicants in and see if they'd like to talk about this a little bit.
Certainly. My name again is Mark Matthey, engineer of Mack and Smith Group down in Monroe at our Monroe office. I did appear before the Township Board earlier this year, obviously for the different applicant that we had represented at that time. Since that time, we've been working with Charles Paisley, who is the operator of a number of other Culver's restaurants in the vicinity of Lyon Township, and looking to use this site to that use. Just touching on a few of the things, and I have the same presentation that we had given to the Planning Commission, but in the interest of time, unless there's a question or a request for that, I would tend to forego that. But speaking specifically to the parking encroachment on the south side, Culver's, in comparison to a number of other restaurants, with this being a quick service, kind of a little higher level class compared to your typical fast food, they do a larger volume of business inside compared to the drive-through. Obviously, things have changed since the COVID era, but before that time, a number of people would actually come in and sit down and use those parking spaces compared to more of a traditional fast food restaurant. So the number of parking spaces is what was requested by our client to fit their needs and is consistent with the types of restaurants they operate in other locations. From a layout, design, traffic flow consideration, the general site layout is very similar to what we had presented earlier with the Carol's Burger King. We do have a number of approvals and permits in hand, specifically the Road Commission's right-of-way permit and the permit from Eagle for the county drain relocation. We've gone through a set of comments with the Water Resources Commissioner's office, and we have submitted revised plans for their review, and they are currently in review there. With that, I guess I'd be happy to take any questions or answer anything specifically, but speaking also to the masonry wall, that was a condition of the Planning Commission along that east side of the property line. And while we haven't incorporated that into the plans yet, obviously we're going to add that to the drawings and soften that with landscape plantings on either side of that wall, similar to what we had done with our last proposal.
Okay. Sean, go ahead.
Okay, so you will be adding a wall and then landscaping both sides of it on the east side?
That's correct. That was my understanding on the Planning Commission's motion.
And that is that a 6-foot wall?
I don't think I had a height in my notes, but I know there was a specific request to go from 5-foot to 6-foot evergreens on some of the plantings along that northern property line. But there wasn't a height associated with that wall, but if you have a pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, that would be something that we should probably resolve. I mean, if you're trying to knock down headlights, I would think
6 foot.
Well, I was say it should be, if it's solid, it should be at least a 4-foot wall with some, significant plantings. I mean, I think a wall could be done nicely, but I think landscaping around it could certainly, as you mentioned, Mark, soften that wall so it doesn't look institutional. And I'd also like to see along the north side, instead of, I think there's arborvitae and juniper along that fence line at 6 feet. I'd like to see that go to 8 feet along that property line. So there's going to be an instant benefit to, I think there's a 6-foot, there's a fence over there now, but I'm sure it's a 6-foot fence. So they'll be instantly seeing 2 feet of green above that fence, and that shouldn't be too big of a deal to make that small change on the north side. So, and I don't know, again, headlights aren't any taller than 4 feet. So I don't want to detract, I don't want to take away from what the Planning Commission had wanted to achieve there, or what some of the residents who I know were concerned about that, wanted to see there too. But I'd like it to look nice for them, as well as also function. So I don't know that would be something I want to try to nail down specifically tonight.
I think masonry walls pretty much feel pretty residential. I mean, I think you can make them pretty decorative.
Yeah, I mean, even if you do something with a little bit of a cap on the top of it, a limestone kind of cap along the top of it really softens it a little bit. And then I was actually going to say that, your plantings aren't significant enough if you don't have a wall. If you do have a wall, then, adding a few plantings on either side of it should look nice, I would say.
Are you talking like a wall similar to the Tim Hortons that was put up?
Yeah.
In USA to Go. Up in
At the cemetery.
Yeah.
That's real nice.
That was like
Very nice.
Is that a brick wall with like a limestone cap on it?
Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
is.
it's really nice.
Yeah. Okay, well then if you're adding the wall and putting, making it look nice, adding some plantings on either side of it, if you can bump from 6 feet to 8 feet, the junipers and arborvitaes on the north side to give additional screening. It looks pretty thick. It looks like they're really, I know you can't plant them on top of one another, but it looks like they're in there pretty well. So it'll be a nice, solid row as it grows in, a nice kind of hedge that'll be tall for those folks to the north.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
While we're talking about the wall, I guess I'm a little confused as to why to the east but not to the north. Like those properties are a lot closer to the north than the one or two to the east.
I think the discussion from the planning commission was more focused on sound pressure from the order
Okay, just
boards.
the way that the speakers are angled, is that
Yeah.
the reasoning? Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah. What are the hours of operation on this one? Is this 10 o'clock? Is that the closing time?
Yes, that's actually a good point to bring up. Compared to the earlier restaurant, Culver's does cease operations a little earlier in the evening. So they're looking at 10 p.m. closing time, 7 days.
Okay. And then I also wanted to point out that this particular site is not an easy site given all the hoops you have to jump through with the county drain and everything. And I wanted to point out that I appreciate the fact that that you guys are connecting the sidewalk to the south.
Yes.
To the property to the south. So that's a 20 feet or so off-site sidewalk gap that you're filling in as well. So I think echoing Sean's comments on the wall and the landscaping, you checked all the boxes on this one.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I think the project looks real nice. I think you guys are doing I think Culver's is something that Lyon Township would love to see. I do think there's a few things that the trustees have mentioned that I believe would be a great add to it, and it seems like you're really willing to do that. So with that case, I would think that a motion be in order.
I'll move you. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, my turn.
Yeah, no, I just, if anybody waits 5 seconds, I'll just start talking, maybe 4.
Yes, we know. So, I'll make a motion to approve special land use for Culver's Restaurant AP 20-34B, contingent on the discussion on the masonry wall and the plantings to 8 feet in height on wall.
I will support, just saying subject to the rest of the PC conditions, subject to ZBA approval of the variance, and citing the fact that the restaurant closes at 10 p.m.
Are you good with that, Chris?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Ooh, we're getting a Culver's.
Thank you all.
Okay. We're going to move on to the nonprofit recognition of the local organization for Club Empowerment, Inc. Camille, do you want to talk about that?
Yes, I can. Okay. So in your packet, I included a memo, and it's a pretty brief one, so I'll just read this so folks can understand what we're asking for. Club Empowerment Incorporated is a nonprofit organization located in Lyon Township. The address of their facility is 56328 Grand River in New Hudson. This location is used for cardio drumming exercise classes where they accept a donation to participate. This year, the coronavirus pandemic has had a negative impact on their organization. The long-term shutdown of fitness and gym facilities prevented people from working out based on then the executive orders of the governor of the state of Michigan. And then once their facility was able to reopen, additional restrictions impacted the number of people they could have at their facility. So they're looking into fundraising options to keep their organization operating and would like to hold gaming events to help raise monies for that fact. Michigan law does allow qualified nonprofit organizations to be licensed to conduct bingos, raffles, and sell charity game tickets. Organizations that have not previously qualified must provide an appropriate qualification documents. This is the first time Club Empowerment is applying for this type of a nonprofit gaming license. The organization has never submitted qualifying information before to the state. Then they must include in their application a copy of a resolution passed by the local body of government stating the organization is indeed recognized as a nonprofit organization in the community. So in the packet, I provided a copy of the organization's IRS determination letter, a copy of the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs corporate profile for Club Empowerment, and the local governing body resolution for charitable gaming licenses, which you are considering this evening. So right now, the recommended action for the Township Board would be approval of the local governing body resolution for this type of license. I do want to state that a representative from Club Empowerment is available this evening to answer any questions. They're available online or on the phone, and her name is Laura Pakala. So if you have any questions regarding this application, she is available to answer those questions.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to open this up for questions. Anyone have any questions about this for Laura? No?
No, but if she hung on already for a couple hours and wants to say anything,
Yeah, by all means.
make it worth your while.
Oh, I'm still here. No, we're just I've been doing it for 3 years, so it's a great way to exercise and have fun. So all we're doing is trying to just maintain paying our rent while we can't have classes regularly, even outside now. So
Well, Laura, I think myself, this is a no-brainer for you, and I think the Board of Trustees could probably help you out a little bit here. So, you know, would anyone like to make a motion to move this forward?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the local governing body, which is Lyon Township resolution for charitable gaming licensing for Club Empowerment Inc. And I think that's all we need, right, Tina?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll support.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, there you go. Thanks, Laura.
thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we're going to move on. Consideration of approval, interlocal agreement between the township and Oakland County to permit the Covet testing and vaccination center administrated by the Fire Station 2 located at 10 Mile Road. Ken, do you want to kind of talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, and we can see you.
Okay, I know. Well, here's the, I wasn't lying about the plaque either. So that's
Oh,
for
that's nice.
Reg Madeline. So
That is nice.
Wow.
it only took me 3 devices to get up there.
you're
So
here.
about 3 weeks ago, we were contacted by Oakland County Homeland Security, and they've got various locations throughout the county where they're doing COVID testing, drive-through COVID testing. And what they don't have is something on the southwest part of Oakland County. And they asked if we would possibly be able to accommodate them. And since it's such a great public benefit, we offered up our Station 2 on Fridays by appointment only from 8 to 5. And they bring all of the trailers, the equipment, We were able to provide plenty of parking, especially at Station 2, but they just needed a facility where they can, use a kitchen or restrooms. And so this may go on for up to 6 months, and it may switch over from testing to vaccinations. And so I spoke with Carol about it, and I think we can meet the conditions of the agreement. And we also are able to back out of it with the 10-day notice if something does go wrong or if we can no longer accommodate. So I think it's good for them to remember that we're in Oakland County, and I think it's a good thing.
Okay, I mean, to me, it seems like a good thing. It seems like something that, Lyon Township could have here for its residents. I mean, where do they have to go now for testing? I mean, they have to go to Pontiac, right?
There's a variety of locations. One's in Southfield. There's, I don't know if the one in OCC in Farmington Hills is remaining, but otherwise, yeah, there's a couple days where that's at the Pontiac complex, the county complex.
And this is free, right? I mean, this is a free testing center.
Yeah, it's all free, and we don't have to do, we don't have to provide any manpower or any costs. So
I think it's kind of really a good thing, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Anyone want to ask any questions, go ahead, or.
I do have one question, Ken. In 1.1, right at the top there, you're calling out up to 7 days per week for vaccinations, but only 1 day a week for testing. Is there a reason we limited it? Like, why wouldn't we allow it to be up to 7 for both? Not saying they have to do more than one, but.
Well, this is all by appointment only. So we didn't want to have any type of a, long drive through because we still are operating a emergency services. And, so
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, and Robert, it's also a function of the county being able to staff it, because they
Right,
go around from location to location, so.
I'm not saying we needed to do more. It just seems like if we're approving this, why not have it be an up to, so that if conditions changed, they could ramp it up if both parties.
Yeah, and I think we would be agreeable to increasing the days. I just don't think they have the personnel to be able to do it more than the 1 day right now, so.
This is basically what they asked for, right?
Correct.
Yeah, this is just
What they asked.
so they have all parts of the county covered.
Yeah.
They
we
were
would
just
make
looking
this
for
work.
1 day.
Right.
Okay.
I would like to make the motion to approve the facility use interlocal agreement between Oakland County and Lyon Township.
I'll support, but I've got one other comment on this.
Sure, go ahead. We got a motion and support. Go ahead, Chris.
That it should say Lyon Township in the footers.
It does. We changed it. I mean, this was a
does.
boilerplate contract that, they sent to Ken. So we did see that. Thank you very much. But we did change it. Yep. She didn't, I thought she put it back in the packet correctly. I apologize.
Mine says Lyon Township. No.
It says Lyon Township.
Okay, good. Yeah, the original one did not, and it was caught. Thank you.
Okay, any more? Any other comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion passed. Let's move on. Designated assessor, interlocal agreement, accompanying resolution. Okay, this is just this is our assessor contract with the county. I think we do these every few years, and I think it's pretty neat, pretty easy one. We keep them coming. So Patty, you know anything that's different from
Yeah, this is just the same. Carol's team, actually, Stephanie did a fabulous job. They represented over 9 communities to make sure that this agreement was what benefited the township. And I'm really thankful to have them on our staff helping us. So I'm all for it, and it's a good agreement.
They've always done a great job.
Yeah. Oh, I love our assessing department. You get a big bang for a little buck, in my opinion. And they're very thorough. And like I said, Carol's team, especially Stephanie and her staff, did a great job. They're sharp cookies. So.
Patty,
make-
you
oh.
might have just kind of answered my question there, but my one concern on this agreement was just the 5-year term. With the expansion of Township Hall going, was there ever any maybe thought of trying to bring this in-house to save money or shortening the term to 3 years or something?
Chris, it's so cheap for them.
Big job too.
You wouldn't believe it. It is a great bargain for us. And they do a lot of things for us that we don't, I mean, they send out our notices. They respond to all the notices. They set up the board of review. They actually have a whole team that scours, they bring their group where it's needed. So one assessor could not take care of our township. It's impossible. Not with the growth we have.
No, you're right. We'd be looking at least probably two.
I mean, just keeping our records. They keep our records.
They really have a team that comes in. I mean,
it's amazing what they do. And for the per parcel price, you can't beat it. It's seriously, people they're getting more customers than less.
Right. I have communities that previously had in-house that have gone to Oakland County.
Yeah. They deal with all this, the MTTs and the STCs. I mean, it's a big job, and I don't know how many people we have to hire for that. It'd be ridiculous for what we pay them, and we don't have any of the bother. I mean, they have to take all that pressure on.
It's a deal.
It's a good deal. It's a really good deal. Plus, they do an excellent job, and they're consistent. Plus, they have to do a 2-year study. I mean, they have to meet a lot of requirements. So I'm just saying it's not as simple as what people think it is. So
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2020-24 designated assessor interlocal agreement. I would just comment that all the documents at the bottom say page 2 of 2. It's obviously not substantive, but we may just want to have that renumbered.
Okay. We get a support on that?
I'll support.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Moving on. This is the consideration to approve Highland treatment cost increase. It is a very minor increase. These guys do a wonderful job for us. I can't say enough about them. I don't know what we do without them. This is like nothing.
It's $256 a month, so it's pretty close to nothing. I'll make it a motion to approve the rate increase for 2021 for Highland treatment.
I'll support Michelle Cash.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thanks. I'm gonna move on now. Okay. This is the extra cost, and believe me, guys, this is to consider an extra cost for the security, the cameras, and the door access for the new addition. This is totally on me. I flubbed up on this one. For some reason, it wasn't included in the cost to start out with. And I'm just, I'm here showing you guys, being very transparent. This is a big change. It's a lot of money, but it's a lot of security also. And it's, if there's any questions you'd like to ask me about it, I can do my best to answer them. A lot of this is other things. It's not just the security system, we actually put a complete fire suppression system through the entire building. And some of this is that to finish and install the required alarm systems for that. There was some fire extinguishers in here we missed, but the total job is a big job. And I know Patty and Michelle can talk about this also, being as how well the security system works at the Township Hall. I mean, to go from a keyed system like we had, and we allowed them to bring the doors in and the front door under surveillance and the cameras, and it's so much more secure up there than it's ever been. And to have half the building secure and half the building not secure would be a travesty in my thoughts. And this is the same company. There's two sides to this, because the Brower company has to find out if we're going to go ahead and okay this extra money to get all the doors machined at the factory for the electric strikes. All the things that are needed, the doors have to be manufactured with that in it. And that's part of this deal on their side. And then All Star Alarm, who's done all of our other alarm systems, they do a great job. They show up when you call them. It's pretty much fail-proof system. Are the same guys that would do this project, and that was the cost they give us. So the total changes are big, and it's here for you guys to look at and ask questions. I mean, it was totally my fault that I missed it. I don't know why I didn't get the security system in the contract as a whole. I just missed it. So any questions, go ahead and ask. But like I said, I think it's something we need. And it would be a general fund addition.
Well, it would be split up between the different entities.
Well, between the building department, the water, the sewer, and the general fund.
And the DDA, yep.
And the DDA, sheriffs won't have anything to do with it.
Yeah. Yep.
John, I appreciate the time you took today to answer my questions on this, and it's a pretty extensive system, and I, from reading it, I didn't get the full effect until I talked to you, so I appreciate your time going through that today.
Thank you.
Our township hall, we love it. We feel really, when we first got it, it was a little difficult because we've all used keys forever, and having the card swipe, it is so much easier. And then the doors automatically lock when you walk out at 5, which is really great. You know, Michelle stays a lot by herself, and you don't realize that if somebody didn't lock that door, somebody walks in with her. Tina comes a lot at night, and on the weekends we all visit when we need to do stuff. But it really makes us feel so much better and so much safer. And they can't get back behind the into the offices now, and we need that. We collect a lot of money, and Michelle has a lot of important papers, and I think the security is way more important than people think.
And the other thing to this isn't just a small ad. This is a very, very large ad. Every interior door will be electric strike and a card to get in and out. That gives us opportunity to know who's going into every office. And this is also including the basement, the new basement. It'll have Michelle's new room will be her election room will be
Elections.
buzzed in and out. It's just going to give us a peace of mind for good security. It's adding a lot of cameras. It's really just a great thing, and it's really up to you guys.
It is. I really appreciate having the security, and especially because we are there on weekends and nights during election time, and you do feel very secure. I know the police are behind us, but you know, it's still they're coming in the front door where the police can't see that. So no, it's a great system, and it's really nice not to have have a key to everyone's door, and that everyone who can get into those doors are programmed in, and we have that security.
John, I appreciate 2 components of this. One is that, you know, I sometimes, you know, we miss things and it's an accident. Obviously, you did not intend to have this part missed, but for you to have looked at that and said that we can't have half the building secure and half the building not secure, and for you to bring it to us, I'm definitely appreciative of you, even though the change order's pretty steep, at least, you know, pushing through and making sure that this was brought to us. And then secondarily, you know, I work right now I'm not working in a school building, but when I get to go back, I definitely appreciate having a secure building with key card swipes and that type of security with cameras. It does add a level of comfort, you know, when I'm in the building, and if I'm staying late in my job, to know that doors are secure and somebody didn't accidentally leave a door unlocked. I definitely appreciate that. So I would like for our employees at the township to have that same level of comfort.
Thank you, Lisa. And I'm going to tell you, you can ask any one of our employees at how much they love this system. The system has been really, really easy to use, and you know, we just want to continue with it. And you You know, so the ad, by all this change right here, the ad would amount to about $83,000. I mean, it's not a cheap ad. And,
Well, so- John, as you explained to me, though, that's a lot of changes structurally to
yes,
to make changes physically to the new
yep, that's
doors and yeah, I mean,
entirely doing the doors in the factory. And then when they get there, that's all the wiring and the jams.
yeah,
I mean,
this
it's a lot of stuff. And this also includes the fire system, all the things that have to go along with the fire system. And also, if you noticed in here with the elevator shaft, with the elevator in the building now, we have to have a cell phone in the elevator. And that's a little bit of an ad. And there's also a special light that has to go at the top, an exit light. I mean, there's a couple things that all are part of the security system that I kind of missed until the security company come in and went through this thing. It was kind of a miss for me. And then Brower picked up on doing the doors so they wouldn't be delivered and then have to be cut out like our old doors were. I mean, they had to come through and actually drill holes through doors, and these will all be set up for it.
yeah, and I was just going to say the cost of doing it and the inconvenience of doing it later would have been significant. So
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at. And I'm kind of hoping that you guys will go ahead and approve this so I can give it to him tomorrow, sign this order and get this thing in the mix, because the doors, they're ready to manufacture the doors for the building now. So anyone like to,
Do you want a motion for change order 8 and 9 together, or do they have to be separate?
well, I think we could do them, what do you think?
You can do them together.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the Lyon Township Hall change order number 8 and change order number 9 as presented by the Supervisor Dolan, by A.R. Brower and Company for our security system.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and a support. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you guys very much. I'm sorry I missed that. Okay, we're going to move on. The next three items of business are all ordinance text. And I had a talk with Brian today. Sean and I had talked earlier about having some bullet points on these. A lot of this is housekeeping things. And I asked Brian, when he talks about these, is just to basically pull the bullet points out of them. And in the future, I think Brian's going to also put a memo in with these housekeeping changes to direct you to the things that have been changed. So we're all not reading through these entire ordinances trying to figure out what was changed. Okay, so that being said, we'll go ahead with the first one. Brian, do you want to explain the changes in the first one?
Well, actually, the first one is Carol's.
Yeah, I think that one's mine.
Okay.
This came about because I realized that in our ordinance, we did not include language in the state statute that allows somebody, a landlord can, in a lease agreement, require that the lessee is responsible for water and sewer charges. And under the statute, if they notify the township of that fact, then the township cannot place a lien on the property for non-payment of the water and sewer charges. So the ordinance has been amended to pick up the requirements in the state statute. This came about because we've never had this situation before, but we actually were just placed on notice by one of the landlords that they intended to invoke this provision. So I wanted to bring you up consistent with the law.
Carol, I noticed that this was, I think this is ridiculous that we have to get involved with taking care of a landlord's business. I mean, this is their responsibility. And I mean, this law is horrible. This puts.
There's two statutes on it. There's two statutes on it.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't do this because I think we have to do it, but this is another one of these ridiculous sort of unfunded mandates. It's going to cause us more time and more, I guess, staff time and grief trying
Well,
to
it
chase.
puts us in a position of having to possibly file a lawsuit to collect these unpaid charges, whereas we could just roll it on the taxes otherwise, so.
When you're a
But it is
landlord
what
and
it
you're a
is.
landowner, you're responsible for your property. And, you know, this is sort of pushing that responsibility off on us to go chase their tenant around to pay their bills. And
Right.
it's absurd.
I'll tell you, Sean, the way this was brought to our attention is I got an affidavit from a landlord telling me that they've leased their property and they will not be responsible for the water and sewer bills. They told me that.
Yeah,
They sent it
that must be nice.
Yeah.
Let somebody else go. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Just making you consistent with state law.
So that's what it's about.
Yeah.
So if anybody liked it, this is a first reading.
Yeah, I would love to vote no on this, but I understand that we can't be in violation of state law.
We just need the date in section 6 changed to today's meeting. I think this is good to go.
Okay. We got that? Okay.
We need a rental housing ordinance that requires them to put up some huge deposit to cover all these water and sewer fees.
Well, but you know, the ordinance does require, if they do this, then what we are allowed to make the lessee post the cash deposit. So, I mean,
Yeah,
the problem is it gives us an additional job to do that we didn't normally have to do. But if we do follow through when we receive these affidavits, we can have the cash deposit to theoretically cover if they don't pay the bill and then cut them off. But no question, it creates more work for the township.
and the lessee, just as long as, I guess the landlord is just completely off the hook with this one. He brings an affidavit in, he slaps it on John's desk, and then he goes to lunch.
That's right.
Okay, that's nice.
This is what happens. I couldn't believe it. I sent it to Carol and she said, yeah, you're screwed. You got to do it. So.
Is that a legal term?
I think so. It'll be covered in the new definitions that Brian's going to talk about in a minute. We're going to put that in the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
So a motion would be in order to move this to second reading.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 11-20 to second reading.
Support.
Who supported? Patty?
Patty.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Come on, Sean. All right, we're going to move on to the consideration, the introduction of the ordinance for Charter Township of Lyon to amend the proposed general zoning ordinance amendments.
Okay, and this is the completion of the Muni Code revisions and amendments. This is a little behind because it had to go through the Planning Commission for recommendation.
Okay.
Along with those MENA code modifications, those are things like state licensed residential facilities and microbreweries and things like that. We thought this was a good time to did a couple of things that are minor. We moved, for some reason, accessory apartments were listed as a non-residential use in our ordinance. So we're putting that in the right spot as a residential use. We're also clarifying a point that's been kind of a pain point to staff in terms of timing and expiration of the PD approvals. So we want to clarify that those approvals are good from the date of meeting. As I mentioned during the Lyon Station review earlier on, we want just the meeting date to be the time when those 24-month validity periods start from. As it exists in our ordinance today, that period doesn't start until somebody records the agreement. And so, if we've got a developer dragging their feet to record an agreement, it could be 5 years from the time that they get approved.
Okay, everyone get that? Somebody like to make a motion to move this to second reading?
I only have two comments on this one.
Please.
I love reading these super long ordinance revisions.
I'm sorry. I will prepare a memo for these in the future.
So Brian, on page 7 of the PDF, under phasing, halfway down. It's number 1, 707 phasing number 1. It calls for a shall commence within 24 months of the date the plan development agreement is recorded, or 36 months of the date Township Board approves it. Aren't those supposed to both be 24 months? Or where did the 36 month come into play?
You said on page 7.
Page 7,
Chris?
number 1.
Yep, right at the top.
Right at the top there.
Yeah, section 707.
I think that's one we must have missed, Brian.
We talked about 24.
Right.
I think that's a good catch.
Yeah, I think we need to make that consistent with the other changes, Chris.
Okay.
So both 24?
Yeah.
And the only other comment I had is on page 10. Brian, it's basically that section F, the accessory apartments that you were touched on. Letter C, so F1C, the total floor area of accessory residence shall not exceed 600 square feet. And this was mainly just a curiosity question on my part, is where did the 600 feet come from? Is that random, or is that, are we trying to abide by something?
No, it's a local standard. That's in our current ordinance today. I don't know where it came from. I couldn't find any old notes from Chris regarding why 600 was chosen, but there's nothing that I'm aware of in the state acts that would limit or prescribe a minimum or a maximum for an accessory dwelling.
Okay, it was just something that I don't know if it's something that we need to revisit or anything. It was curiosity.
Killed the cat, man.
I had another question. I think in the previous amendment to a utility ordinance, Leslie, maybe you can help me recall this. Didn't we try to do away with all these state acronyms because the agencies are constantly changing? Did we talked about some kind of simple catch-all verbiage that we could use in these ordinances rather than referring to Eagle, because it's only a matter of time before it's not Eagle anymore. And then we're going through and, amending ordinances just to change acronyms at our time and expense. Did we ever do that previously? I thought we did that several months ago with a different ordinance amendment.
I
think we talked about it.
I don't know if we ever did it, but
yeah, I think that the problem is we're always going to be subject to, they're going to change the name and we're going to have to change it.
But if we just said the appropriate state, county, or local agency and it was a catch-all, then of course it's going to include every acronym on the big long list, no matter how many times they change it. I don't know.
Yeah, it just concerns me because in specific situations, there's a specific department that you're dealing with. So I'd like to be, a little more specific in those instances.
Can we say, and their successor?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, and or whatever we're called later.
And they're every 4 to 8 year successor.
Could you just throw something in the definitions later and say, any reference to Eagle shall now refer to whatever the new name is?
Well, that's kind of what we did, because we said any reference to MDEQ now refers to Eagle, so yeah, I can look at that and see if there's something.
That one's not staying. That one's going back to DEQ. I'll die on that hill. I don't think they're not keeping Eagle.
Aren't they?
I can't see it.
I guess, Brian, are you announcing that you're running for governor in 2022?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to end
This has
naming
been changed so
convention
many
changes.
times through my career, I can't take it anymore.
Okay, well, is everybody happy with that then? Can we move this one on?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the introduction of an ordinance to amend the proposed general zoning ordinance amendments AP 20-37 with the changes mentioned tonight.
Support.
Who supported? Sean?
Did
Thank
Sean
you.
support? Okay.
I did.
Yes. All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, moving on. We're making some ground. We're going to move on to the next introduction, the ordinance for the residential district lot width and setback zoning. Brian?
Yeah, thank you, John. So this topic originated during one of our recent legal cases, and some of the planning professionals that were hired suggested that we should take a look at our lot width and front setbacks for our larger residential districts. The thought being that the 150-foot lot width and the 75-foot front setbacks in our R10 district poses some real challenges to developers to make things feasible from a financial standpoint, which has been the sticking point on some of our recent conversations. And so what you have in front of you is the result of that analysis and discussion with the Planning Commission. We're recommending that our standard lot width in R10 district be dropped from 150 feet down to 135 feet. And with sewer, that lot minimum is 120 feet in width. And then along with that, we also have talked, and this has been something that has been brought up to me since I started with the township, that the front setback seems excessive. It forces residents to have a pretty large front yard that they can't use, and that in turn minimizes the amount of space in the rear yard that they can use. So we've gone through and we have made a recommended change to 50 feet for the front setback in R10. The Planning Commission also would like to see the front setback in R05 and R03 dropped to 30 feet. Just for your reference, I'm going to share a table because I think it's worthwhile. We did some analysis of nearby or communities with similar character, just to see what we're looking at in terms of 1 acre zoning. We've got a pretty broad range here, but some are down to 125 feet, including Milford Township, for their lot width minimums. But then you look at these front setbacks, they're all significantly lower than we have, almost in half sometimes, but 45 being the largest in Green Oak and Plymouth Township, and then down from there. So we think the changes are pretty reasonable. We think that we're still going to maintain our existing 30-foot side yard setbacks, so we're ensuring that the separation distance between residences stays the same with these modifications, but we think that it's going to put us more in line with reasonable development standards. The 1 acre minimum area is still required, so what we're going to potentially end up with is narrower, deeper lots, which is more in line with our natural development pattern in the township anyway. I do want to mention, Robert brought up to me, we had a conversation late last week, and one thing that we missed that we'll have to change for the second reading is the front setback for R05 and R03 for average lot size development in our ordinance today is 35 feet. We should drop that down to 30 feet. We don't want a bigger front setback in our average lot size developments than in our traditional zoning.
Okay.
Any questions from the board?
I think this is really good. I do think that 150 was wide, and I think having a shorter front yard is better. I mean, it was just too much of a front yard. A lot of these homes have huge front yards, and their kids are out playing in the front by the street instead of the back. So I think this is really a good move. Anyone else like to comment? Anyone?
No, I agree with you, John. I think it's better. I'm kind of in a position with my house where I have a pretty good sized front yard, and could have used another 10 feet or so in the backyard to kind of transfer it. But yeah, I agree with that. And we're keeping the overall acreage the same. So I think it's a good move.
I do too.
Yeah, and I think one of the bigger things that's an issue with some of these new developments is that side yard. And I think you mentioned the 30-foot side yard setback, Brian, but what you were referring to was the minimum of 30 between structures, 15 and 15. Is that correct?
No, today our ordinance is 30 and 30.
No, I'm just looking. Well, let me look here.
The 30 and 30 with the R1.0.
Right. Okay. R1.0. Right. Okay. But we're looking at going 15 consistently. So it'd be 30 between structures, but 15 on each side with the new change.
No, not
You're still
suggesting
gonna
any
stick-
changes.
Okay. So it's still
Yeah,
on
stick with 30.
So it leaves a 60-foot wide building envelope.
At least you're going to
I
be
mean, if you're
at
talking on 120.
I wonder if that's
correct.
still
Yes.
too wide. I wonder if that's still too wide, 30 foot.
I mean, I'm thinking that, that might be something that we should look at, and maybe between first and second reading, we can ask the planning commission if they think, going to 25 feet, for example, if we're going to cut the width down. I mean, people with, it just gives them more flexibility to design.
I actually like that, Sam. I'd like to go a little less on that side yard.
Because I mean, you're still talking about potentially 50 feet between structures. That's significant. So I don't know. I would like to hear back from the planning commission on that, though. I mean, I am a stickler for side yard separation, but when we're talking about 25 feet on each side, that's going to potentially eliminate trips to the ZBA. People may want to orient their house shifted to one side or the other to, allow for a side entry garage or, other use of their yard differently. So I guess I would just maybe point that out. We can look at that as well.
Is there something?
We have time. The planning commission has one meeting in December next week. We're finalizing the agenda for them tomorrow, so we can add that. So we'd at least have some feedback to you in January for your second reading.
Yeah, and again, it would be a small reduction. It gives you 10 more feet, 5 on either side if we drop it to 25, given that we're allowing the lots to be a bit smaller in width.
I'm all for that, Sean. I think it's a great idea. We want to make a motion to move it forward to the second reading, and you'll go ahead and do that then, Brian?
I'll move AP 20-26 to second reading.
Support.
Okay, all those in favor
Is
say
that
aye.
Robert?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, moving on. We're down to the 2020 budget amendments, and unfortunately, we do have two. They're in your packet, and you can see what they're for. We had the same thing last time. Basically, we're fighting the tax tribunals. We're fighting for our taxes, and we're actually doing pretty well. Carol's team's doing pretty well with that.
Yay.
And then the other is just we're being sued, and we have to fight it. I mean, that's the two. The rest of them were all in great shape.
Carol, can we do the budget amendments together, or do we have to do them separately?
No, I did not print those pages. So what are the two amendments?
Just 209 assessing and 210 legal.
You can put them in together.
Okay, somebody like to make that?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2020 general fund budget amendments for December 7th, 2020 for 209 assessing and 210 legal as presented by our township clerk.
Support.
We have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to consideration of approval of our 2021 budget. I think that we've, a lot of people had some really, really great questions, and I think we've been talking about this right to the end, even today, setting some things straight. And I'm hoping that everything's in order for everyone to go ahead and approve these. So that's what's up on. Now, I remember, did we do these last year all together? Well, we just, the 2021 budget for all departments.
Oh, we did them separate. I was
I thought
actually
we
did.
thinking of the
I think we've done
amendment.
it both ways.
Yeah, no, we just do it as one motion now.
Okay, one motion. Now, were you guys able to make any corrections if someone contacted you today, or is that what you did?
Yep, I took
Okay.
care of I took care of the police and anything else.
Okay, because Robert had a good one about the ordinances for our Municode. I don't know if it was a typo or something, but it went down to 2,000 and it should stay 10 in the general fund.
And we can change that.
Okay.
Wait, I'm gonna look it up while you guys.
Yep, it's actually,
Well,
Not sure we really need that again, though, for this year.
well, we've always had it.
I think we
Because
straightened-
as you do these, like you pass 3 today, and then they'll go to a second reading, I mean, they
Then
all
you
need
have
to
to
be
go back.
updated. So it's continuous. It's not like we did do a big legal thing this time.
Yep.
But we approved that. So now it's just going to be going forward. Anytime you change any amendments, we have to update them with Municode. And that goes on our website, and then we get a few hard copies.
That makes sense. And I don't think 10,000 is too outrageous. I
Yeah,
think
Patty, it's 101,850. And it's ordinance codification, which is 957.004. And we had it down to 2,000.
We want to make it 10.
10 is
Okay,
what it's been all along. Mhm. So I can let Melanie know that tomorrow morning.
Does anyone else have anything to talk about as far as the budget goes?
Yeah, John, I have a couple of comments. First, I really appreciated Les Whitfield contacted me and asked me if I had any questions about the police budget, and we had a good conversation. And then I was able to call Ken and talk about some of the fire department issues and got some questions squared away. And I know last at our budget workshop, I did bring up a couple of questions for the DDA, and I'm still kind of on a sticking point because I understand that, or I just want to clarify that if we are having any new employee, so I know that it's brought up like administrative assistant, I just wanted to make sure that if we budget for it, that there is at least an approval to actually hire that person, that this is not, even though it's budgeted, it's not an automatic hire. Is that correct?
It is not.
Okay, and so then that would be the same situation with, the fire department
Absolutely.
had a hire of assistant chief. Just because it's budgeted doesn't mean that is us approving that particular hire at this point. So
Go through the board.
that clarification. And I had a chance to talk to Leslie Zawada today and ask her a couple of questions with some sidewalk projects. And I was hoping that perhaps we could add at least an amount in the DDA for this. And let's see, the sidewalk estimate that Leslie presented to us, that Patty and John, Patty, Chris, and I have been talking about, was a segment to connect the pathway from out of the park and south of 96. And it would allow for us to connect all the businesses like Burn Boot Camp and the dentist, UPS store, Jimmy John's, all of that. And I was hoping that we could either put not necessarily the total amount, but at least a portion. And the estimate that Leslie provided was $69,696.35 for that segment. And I think that if we were able to put some money in our DDA budget for some sidewalk projects, or at least infrastructure projects that would benefit the businesses that are down there, instead of having to tap into because I know our general fund had 200,000 for sidewalk projects, but that's really primarily focused by Marjorie Ann. So I was hoping that we could maybe add some of that into the DDA budget. And then the last item, as far as DDA, I'm really still not in favor of a stipend for cell phone use for a part-time employee. And I think that a precedent would be set. I mean, April goes to the post office. She doesn't have a township. She doesn't get a stipend for a phone. I think Debbie probably goes to, drop off tax bills or whatnot. Melanie does meter readings, and we don't have a cell phone, and she doesn't get for her, and she doesn't get a stipend. So I really am opposed to having that item in having a stipend in the DD for a part-time employee to have a cell phone.
Hey, Tina, you want to come alive there? I don't think that's a big problem, is it?
I just want to know where you want to put it, if you want to put some sidewalk money in there. Under what? I'm looking.
Well, I mean, I'm not so much onto the sidewalk yet as I am with just the stipend for the phone. I think that's minor and.
Well, that was John Bell.
Yeah. So
And I think it's right. And I think it's important to note the reason we had that for him too is because we do get a lot of calls when we were not in the office. It's just like me. I have a phone and I use it probably 80% more my cell phone than I do my desk phone. So that was just the nature of that position. And that can certainly be revisited. If we go ahead and approve the hire of a part-time person, then we can come back and revisit. So I'm totally fine with removing that at this stage.
Okay.
Okay, and I appreciate that. I just think it sets a precedent that we maybe need to have a bigger conversation about, knowing that so many of our employees are doing things outside of the realm of their normal workday that we would have pre-COVID. So I think that if we had a more unified approach to township employees and phone use, that would be a better conversation.
And then as for the sidewalk, I think you've identified definitely an outage. It's over there by the Lyon Oaks Plaza. And typically, I think it would fall under a capital improvement project because it would be over $25,000. Connectivity is always a priority for the DDA. So I think that the DDA board would be willing to explore filling in this outage right there at that location.
And I appreciate that because we've been talking with Patty and Chris and Leslie about different segments. And then we just had some time away from that discussion. And it occurred to me today that we should probably figure out how we could actually pay for that.
Yeah. Yep. So I would say it would fall under capital improvements as a line item.
We have $500,000 in there right now. So I think that's good.
Do we not need to increase it because it wasn't that to be for the culvert for the?
That might have changed.
Yeah, that might be changing.
Oh, okay.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I agree, Patty.
Okay.
Right. Anything else?
Anyone else?
I'd like to thank all of the departments for all their work too. Some I had to talk to more than others, but as is the case every year, everybody works hard and I appreciate it. So thank you all.
Thanks.
That's really nice, Sean. And I'm going to give kudos to all the department heads too, and Patty and Michelle and everyone involved, because it's really a project. And I know in the past it was always done by one person and kind of all over the place. This is a multi-layered thing that a lot of people put their heads in and try to make it work out really well. And I'm telling you, it has worked out so well. And when you guys put your input in it, it works out really well when it's sent out. And then you guys get back to us and you tell us the different things that you'd like to change, and we can actually do that. I mean, and it's a great way to put a budget together. Probably the best we've ever done. And
it's streamlined.
Thank you guys for that too. So it's not just us, it's the whole management team. It's been really, really a great thing. I'm pretty proud of the way everybody does their budgets. And, you don't just call me. I tell you, we'll call the guys in charge of his budget, and you call them and they answer your questions better than I can. So it's been a good process, and I'm proud of it. Well, thank you all. You guys too, the trustees, you did a great job. You've watched everything, you've asked great questions, and I mean, it's all great. I'm very happy the way it turned out. So thanks, everybody.
I did get most of my questions answered between Michelle and Tina today that I still had. And unfortunately, I ran into Ken in the parking lot and didn't think to ask him this. But just briefly, I saw that the EMS transport revenue went to zero. Are we just not doing that anymore, or was that an oversight?
Ken, do you want me to answer that? 'Cause it's not really.
We'll just all give the same reason, I guess, but it's the
put 'em
COVID.
together. Well, we put them together. We put
Oh, right.
We put it on one line in the fire department instead of two, because when it comes into our bank account, it comes with the EMS. What's the other one? The
It could just be cost recovery.
Yeah, cost
hazmat
recovery.
stuff.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense.
So we just put them together because it's too confusing. It's two little amounts. So
Makes sense. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't something that was missed.
Nope.
No, we did actually suspend transport with COVID in mid-March. And so we're still kind of in that pattern, letting HVA take care of most of our transports, our private company, until we get back to it. So it's temporary.
Thanks. And yeah, I think, again, yeah, a great job and everything. I just, one other comment would be that I think it would be nice for next year if we could get this, the proposed budgets posted in the packet electronically so that the residents have a chance to review it. I know we didn't have anybody call into the budget hearing, but if someone had called in, unless they had made a special trip in to see Michelle or someone, they wouldn't.
They can just call or email me because that's what it says to do in the packet, which is no problem. We always post the final budgets once they're approved. But yes, they are more than welcome to get them. Yes. There's just been a lot of changes, and we even got a new one today, I see, before we came to the meeting. Mel sent. So.
And then Robert, just for your information, the DDA is required to post all of our budgets online, and it's part of Public Act 57, which is a transparency law that was passed for DDAs in 2018. So on the DDA pages, we do have a financial page, and it does share all of our budgets online.
Okay, thanks.
All right, well, a motion would be in order to approve the 2021 budget. Anybody like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
We have support?
I'll support. Oh, sorry, who was that?
No,
Sean?
Michelle, you
No,
got
go
it.
ahead. Sean O'Neill. Go ahead.
All right, we have a motion and a support. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, great. We have a budget. Moving on. Okay, this is the temporary Open Meetings Act procedures that was drawn up by Carol, which is really just kind of putting us January 1st through December 31st, 2021. I think it makes it so we can Zoom, right? Basically, that's.
Yeah, basically with the amendments to the Open Meetings Act, one of the things that's required is that there be specific rules of procedure adopted. So we're sort of planning ahead. Now, it's my understanding that there's further amendments on the floor right now that will extend the virtual meetings through March 31st, but we would have to have these rules in place to be able to do that. So we're just trying to stay ahead of the game so that we can hit it come January 1.
Okay. Well, it's a pretty easy one. Anybody have any questions on it?
Should we just remove those end dates from our specific things so we don't have to change it when that amendment comes through? Would it be enough?
Can't do that, can we?
No, I think right now we should just leave it as it is.
Ready for a motion?
Yep.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the temporary Open Meetings Act procedures as presented by our attorney.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and a support. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay.
Okay.
We're going to move on to the outdoor temporary seating, and this is just really something we need to extend for our businesses. And So everybody's had a chance to read through that. It's pretty basic and just gives them the right to keep the outdoor seating for a while.
Yeah, we're just extending that out again.
Yeah, this is going to be huge. I know it's getting to be winter, but it's going to be still
Yeah,
a
we'll have
benefit
to
for a
see
lot.
what creative people can get.
Right.
They're going to need it.
Well, hopefully with this new grant that Tina was talking about, it'll help people get kind of set up for the winter months.
Okay. Anybody
You
like?
ready for a motion?
Let's make
Can I just ask one question real quick?
Sure,
Robin
sure.
and I had talked about this because he had just popped in and I had this on my desk. And it says till March 31st, 2021. But I mean, won't people want to still, whether COVID's still going on or not, want to sit outside in the summer? Is there a reason to only leave it till the 31st of March?
I think where did Tina go? Oh, Tina.
Yeah.
You want to?
So some of this ties into with the Michigan Liquor Control.
Right.
When you're a restaurant, you can apply for a permanent outdoor seating space, and that's
Okay.
like a separate application. But
Right.
during COVID, MLCC allowed what's called a temporary outdoor seating space. And so they had extended that through November 30th, I think, of this year.
Right.
But what we didn't expect is for this uptick in the COVID and then for the Michigan Health Department to come through with all these other restrictions. And so, interestingly, the liquor control is still trying to figure out how they're going to respond to this. But the county, the health department, and the county of Oakland County has created this winterization program. So I kind of felt like we needed to address it as everyone's adjusting and it's becoming kind of fluid as we know we're going to be moving into the new year. So we figured on, like Carol has said, extending it to March 31st at least gets us through what would be the coldest months in Michigan, and hopefully we start to warm up after that. But
but even warming up, you want to sit outside. I mean, that's
right.
You even want to
And
really do it.
Right.
If you're, it's more an issue if you have a liquor license, because if you don't
Okay.
have a temporary application with the state of Michigan, then you can't serve alcohol in your temporary outdoor seating space. But what we're trying to do as a township is at least allow restaurants in general to be able to serve in outdoor spaces or be able to serve food in outdoor spaces. And then the individual restaurants that have liquor licenses have to get separate approval through the state.
Okay.
The MLCC actually did move on that already. They changed their extension to April 30th. So I would like to see if we could change this to that end date instead of the March date.
Yeah, we can do that, to amend that, to have that be the date, if you'd like to do that.
Sounds nice to me.
They've now said that they will not accept extensions beyond that, and they're encouraging people to switch to a permanent outdoor seating permit. But the only other thing I noticed was just a typographical thing in section 4. There's a 1, 2, and then another 2 for different types of businesses instead of a 3. And that it was a little odd to me that in 4 we talk about like retail and salons and things, but then all of our specific requirements apply only to bars and restaurants. So it just seemed like a contradiction to have say you could do it for any of those, but then only give the rules for one of the subsets.
All right, I'm not following you right now. Okay, I'm looking in
What
4.
What
A,
page?
B, C.
So
Page 3.
Yeah.
Page 3.
Sorry.
Number 4.
Okay.
Number 4. Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. And then my only other brief question was in 5, where it talks about when it terminates, that if the restrictions are no longer in effect, but we seem to be having this situation where they go out of effect, then they come back into effect. Are we requiring people to reapply each time then?
Well, you mean in these situations where they've closed for 10 days and then it goes and then they reopen and then they close for 10 days? Yeah. We haven't been applying it that way.
Okay.
So we've just been like, this will be good through April 30th, unless come February 1, there's no COVID left anywhere on the face of the earth, then it will not apply. So,
All right.
yeah.
So I guess if nobody else has anything, then I would make a motion to, can I do that, John, or?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd make a motion to approve resolution 20-25 with the amendment to the end date to be April 30th, 2021.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and a support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we got us a full-blown done meeting.
You can just adjourn it now. Per Carol, you can just say, John, you can just say thanks, good night.
Just adjourn it if you want.
All business has been accomplished. I consider this meeting adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Well done.
Pretty good.
10:05
Good
p.m.
night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thanks.
Good night.